Welcome to the most comprehensive Hermes agent course available. I've been using Hermes for the past few months and really stress testing it and using it in every part of my life and business. Hermes agent has been helping me get customers, create high performing content, monitor my community, help my customers, better my health, trade stocks for me, and so much more. Everything I'm going to be showing you in this course is stuff that I actually use it for every day. And if you build alongside me all the way through, you can even use it to build a one-person company with AI agents doing most of the heavy lifting. I've actually been helping people go from zero to building and selling these exact systems for thousands in recurring revenue. And I wanted to put together one resource with every tip, trick, shortcut, basically everything I wish I knew, and picked up along the hundreds of hours I spent building and selling with Hermes Agent. So here's how this course is going to work. First, we'll start off with why this matters, what Hermes Agent actually is, why it's different from other agents like OpenClaw, Cloud Code, or Codex. Then we'll go over the good, the bad, the ugly, and then we'll get into setting it up fully from scratch and the right way to do so. We'll be building a personal chief of staff, an agentic operating system with Jarvis, a mission control dashboard, a multi-agent command center with a memory graph, everything we need to set up an agent-run company from scratch. Then we'll use Hermes Agent to help us build and sell a product with a full team of AI agents running the operation, with a project manager to keep everything in check and organized, an automated social media agent to get leads and traffic that'll make long and short form content, articles, carousels, slide decks, beautiful websites, and even do customer service, create ads, trade, analyze stocks, work as a personal trainer and longevity coach, and how you can even use it with your team so it has context across your whole organization and can work in your team as an AI employee. Basically, you'll have an overall AI workforce. And even if you're just a beginner, we'll cover all the core concepts along the way, like what model to use, how to optimize for costs, making sure you're secure, how to use skills, MCPs, cron jobs, sub-agents, agentic workflows, and how they can be applied in life and business. And once you understand how all these pieces fit together, we'll build a few systems so you can experience what Hermes Agent is really capable of. And then we'll talk about how to take these builds, how to sell it with the exact pricing, offer structures, and full end-to-end client examples. And that's important because I find that most people that are watching this are probably interested in a Hermes Agent, not just for their own hobbies, but for financial reasons. We want to make money with the things we build, and I want to show you how to do that. So if you're brand new, watch this in order. And if you already have Hermes Agent, use the timestamps in the video to jump to whatever section you may need. But I'm sure if you go from scratch, you'll learn things you didn't know that may be incredibly useful for you if you only follow my one recommendation, which is to build alongside me. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, the first thing I quickly want to cover is what Hermes Agent is to set a deep foundation so you have a good understanding. And at a high level, if you take the smartest AI model available, it can be ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, whatever, and you give it eyes, hands, and you sit it at a desk with a mouse connected to a computer, then what you can do is message it like a coworker, and it can do everything a regular person could sitting at that computer. And it does these things on its own without you having to ask it constantly. So that's similar to OpenClaw, but what makes Hermes Agent special? Well, it's the fundamental philosophical differences of how they were built. So for example, OpenClaw is more like, here's an AI agent that can use your computer. Hermes Agent is more like, here's an AI employee that grows with you over time. And the biggest reason is its self-improvement loop that it goes through automatically. And what that means is if Hermes learns how to do something for you, like how you edit your videos or how to write in your tone, it will automatically save that process as a reusable skill. And it does so on its own without you having to manually ask, and making it way more user-friendly, which means the next time you ask it to do whatever thing you already did with it, it's already learning from the last sessions. This creates that self-improvement loop. That means if you give Hermes a task, it does the task, it maybe figures out a better way to do it, or you correct it, and it can remember that as a skill. We'll cover this much more later in the course, but what that really means is your Hermes becomes better at working with how you like to work, specifically because it understands and grows with your specific way of working. And here's a current example. I was looking for apartments in New York, and it found out that I was preferring things that are high rises in X amount of budget. And later on, when it's looking for other apartments, it's giving me those kind of similar examples, and I didn't have to ask it. It already understood from the context of what I've been doing. And how this is done is because Hermes in the background undergoes a process that improves its own memory. And that happens as you talk to it. Every 10 turns or so, it basically tries to understand what you're doing and improve itself. It has the idea of a curator that cleans up old skills, maybe improves them, and archives things that aren't useful anymore. This keeps the agent from being messy over time, and that's why, like how OpenClaw used to get bloated and kept breaking, Hermes doesn't have that issue and is way more reliable over time. So the agent not only just remembers everything blindly, it strategically archives things so it's effective in the things you work currently day to day. And that's why people are switching over. It's not because Hermes has one flashy feature, it's because it feels way more like a real employee. And most importantly, it gets much more useful the longer you use it. And that's the real difference. Now, with that out of the way, let's go over some fundamentals you should know before we start putting this on our computer so it's more secure and it's way more cost effective. Now, a quick note on the difference between what a model is, like GPT 5.5 or Claude Opus, and how it differs from Hermes, which is called an agentic harness, because this is worth understanding before we move any further. And how you can think of it is like a car. So the model is the engine. It's powerful, but by itself, it just sits there and doesn't have wheels, steerings, or brakes to actually go anywhere. Hermes is the rest of the car. Hermes is what wraps around the model and lets it actually do the work. So when I say model, I mean something like GPT 5.5, Claude Opus, or Grok, or Google Gemini, and that's what's used for the intelligence. But Hermes is the agentic harness that comes bundled with the ability to, let's say, control everything on your computer. It runs on the machine 24/7. It has the gateways so you can start messaging it on all the different channels, and it can get work done like an employee, and it has its own memory system. So there are other really good harnesses out there like Claude Code or Codex, but there's a reason why I use Hermes as my chief of staff and not only something like Claude Code. You see, these tools like Claude Code were designed for different jobs fundamentally. Claude Code, like the name suggests, was built to code. Hermes Agent, on the other hand, was designed to be an AI employee, built to know you, your business, your customers, your preferences, and all your workflows over time because of how its memory system was built. Also, another big advantage is that Hermes is model agnostic and it's local. That means all its data lives on your computer right next to you and you're not locked into one provider. And since these models are always leapfrogging each other, Hermes Agent lets you be nimble. You always get to use the best model for each specific task. And now that's all good, let's cover the bad and the ugly. Because you see, you're still the one in charge, because there's a version of this where it sounds like you hand Hermes the keys and you disappear, but that's not really how any of this works. Because these agents are powerful, but they're not autonomous decision makers. You can't let it loose without structure, and it's on you to give it the right access and to protect yourself from giving it too much too fast. For example, a researcher gave her agent access to her email inbox and the agent just deleted it. She lost years of emails, and that actually happened. And that's why it's on you to verify the outputs before you trust them. And I'll show you how to put all these safeguards in place before you let your agent send an email, move any money, or publish anything. But the reality right now is that the gap between people who use these agents and people who don't is getting a lot wider. Every company is going to need something like this, and most have no idea that it barely even exists or how to even start with it. But the people who understand this right now, while it's still early, are the ones who end up building businesses and careers everyone wished they started before. The same systems we're going to be building in this course, people are already selling to other businesses as done-for-you digital employees, and they charge from $500 to $5,000 a month to set it up, or $200 to $1,000 a month just to maintain it. The business owner doesn't need to understand how this works. They just get an agent that runs 24/7 at a fraction of what a human would cost. And we'll go later into this with the exact pricing, offer structures, and full end-to-end examples later in the course. But now that you understand the bare minimum, let's actually get into installing Hermes Agent onto our computer. All right, we're going to be setting up your Hermes Agent from scratch to a multi-agent working system. And you should also be able to text it from your phone. And I'm going to be showing you this, and you can do this in two paths. And the first path is using a VPS or hosting a server in the cloud. The second path is doing it on a Mac Mini or an old computer or a PC. It can be Mac or Windows, and it doesn't matter. Right now, I'm going to be showing you how to set it up on Mac because it's much, much easier. You only have to pay one time. And I'll also show you how to make sure that these cons are not a con anymore. All right. So let's get into that. And it's really simple. All right. So after we have chosen what to use, either a VPS or a personal computer, I personally like using an old computer because it gives me an easy interface and it's much easier to control and I can see what's happening on my screen. But after we have that, the next thing we need to do is make sure we choose a brain for our Hermes. Okay. And just as a recommendation, I like using the plans by ChatGPT OpenAI because it's the most bang for buck you can ever get in terms of intelligence and accessibility and ability. All right. And I'll show you how to do that. So in terms of managing cost, there's two ways we can be using the intelligence to feed and keep our Hermes agent running, right? Number one is just using a subscription for ChatGPT. And what that gets you normally is unlimited access to ChatGPT within a certain time window, all right? And why I like starting with this is because you'll get way more usage and your costs stay flat, okay? Because what may happen is if you don't know what you're doing and you start out with using API-based token billing, is if there is something running that you may not want, it may rack up hundreds or $1,000s in credits, and you may not be very happy with that. All right. So this is basically there's a pay per usage. This is when somebody asks you for an API key to run Hermes. That's when this gets activated, right? So I'm going to be showing you and on level 1 on how to use our ChatGPT subscription to make sure we get our Hermes agent up and running. And you can see it's pretty affordable. You can actually even start free and you can go up as you need. This is just the ChatGPT subscription page. And after you have this up, I want to show you how to set up the buddy system. So if we run into any issues, we can use our buddy to solve that. All right, first, I'm going to be showing you how to set up the buddy system. And this is basically because we're going to be using Hermes and Codex with the same brain, which is GPT 5.5, with the subscription. What I'm going to be showing you is setting up Codex as our buddy. So if you do potentially run into any problems, whether you're on VPS or Mac or whatever, if you do get stuck, you can always just ask Codex to fix it. And Codex will be the doctor for your Hermes agent. So whatever issues you may run into, Codex will fix it for you. And the nice part is that you can also control Codex from your phone through the ChatGPT app. And this makes it really easy that you can be anywhere in the world and controlling your computer with Codex if something were to break or were to happen, right? So this is basically just insurance for our Hermes agent. And right here, this is the steps we're going to be using. If a problem happens, we just ask Codex to fix it. The Codex will fix it, and then we apply and move on. And it makes it really simple for anyone that's new getting into this tech. And this is really cool because we're already paying for Codex, and it becomes our developer buddy that's going to fix stuff as we go, right? One brain, two rules. So let me show you how to set that up, and it's really simple. So first, what you want to do is you want to go to Codex by ChatGPT, and all the links and everything will be down below. And you want to make sure you download this for Mac or Windows or whatever you're using. You can also use this on a VPS. Okay. And after you download that and log in with your ChatGPT account, you see this screen, you'll be good to go. And now let's move on to the second step. And one more thing I want to show you, the cons of running a Hermes agent on your Mac Mini or your computer is that the power needs to stay on and access is limited offline, right? So the reason I'm telling you to use Codex is because there was a new update by Codex where now Codex can basically securely use apps on your Mac from your phone, even when your Mac is locked and the screen is off. This is huge and makes it so that for one payment, which is just for the hardware, we get to keep everything there. And if anything turns off, we can still use Codex from our computer to fix Hermes or whatever, right? This is why I really like using this with my Mac Mini, because I get best of all the worlds with a very simple setup, okay? Now that we have our buddy done, what we want to do right now is make sure we install our Hermes agent. Great, we're finally here. Now let's install Hermes agent. And it's really simple. Want to make sure just Googling Hermes agent or look at the link down below to find this Hermes agent news research. And all we need to do, if you're on a desktop, because it's much easier, you just download this, okay? So after you download this, you can see, you can set it up really easily just by following the directions. And then you open it up. And you can see Hermes will open like an application on your Mac. So all you need to do is just hit install Hermes and it'll go out and do its thing. So let me come back after this is done. Awesome. So now you can see you can launch this from anywhere or just by saying Hermes desktop. So we're going to do launch Hermes. And then you can see the app starting up. All right, so once we're in this desktop, I want to take you on a tour of how to set this up on the best way, right? So this is honestly a really great desktop app, and that's why I want you to use this with a personal computer. And you can see right here, you can start new sessions just by hitting new session. There's skills, all the messaging that we've been talking to it from. We have all our skills in one place, all the channels we want to connect it to, and this is going to be really important as we go. And even anything that you develop in here, we can be working on it, right? Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is right here. I want you to open settings, okay? Then the first thing we want to do is make sure we set up our provider for our models. So number one, we want to make sure we have OpenAI Codex as our model, okay? So right here, let's set up our OpenAI Codex. Right here, let's hit this button, and then this comes up for me. And then you see it's very easy to basically authenticate with our ChatGPT just with a simple click of a button. And then if you go back to your Hermes thing, you'll find this, you go back to your ChatGPT, and then you paste this in, and then you hit continue. Great, so we should be good now. And you can see, let's set up Hermes agent. And you can see it was that simple to set up GPT 5.5. So let's begin. So now you can see this is our primary model, all right? And one thing I want to also show you how to do is whenever, let's say you run out of credits, or let's say ChatGPT is somehow down, right? The second best thing I like using is this thing called News Portal, okay? So News Portal is this thing. So if you just Google News Portal, so News Portal is the company behind Hermes agent, all right? And you can see right now what I do is I have this as my backup. And the reason I have this for my backup model, and I'll show you how to set this up, is because, so the reason I use that as my secondary fallback model is because of this. Number one, I immediately get access to all the top tier models. Number two, I don't need 200 different subscriptions like image models, and I can use my Hermes because I get access to audio models. I get to use my Jarvis like that. And it's also a backup brain. So if anything is down, it makes it really easy for me. All right. So that's my personal setup of how I like using it. And to set it up, it's really simple. Just if you're curious, if you just hit News Portal right here and you hit Set Up News Portal, you can connect it just like that in one click. Okay. Just make sure you have an account and you'll be good to go. And you can see you can switch between your News Portal and all the models here, or your OpenAI Codex. That makes sense. Just like that. And make sure you enable fast mode. And what I like using is high. Okay, so I've just seen this as the best mixture. And you can see this is the first model it uses. All right, so this is the most cost-effective setup that I've noticed that works for me. And right here, I would also just put News Portal, and let's say you can pick something like Claude Opus, and you can pick something like GLM 5.2 or Claude Opus if you want to go local. All right, so these are two references, and you have a fallback, and now you should be set up. Cool. This is number one. All right, so now that we have our model, let's test it out, right? The way we do that is just by going here, hitting new session, and right here on the bottom, right here, you see, you can select which model you want to use, right? So let's use GPT 5.5 Fast High. And right here, you can see all the models right here. And you can see where you're using it from, okay? So if I just say hello, and response back. And you can be working with this right here. Now, this is cool and all, but let me show you how to actually make it useful step by step. Because the next thing I want to show you how to do is how to connect it to different channels so you can use this while you're on the go, all right? And to do that, what I want to show you is this thing called computer use, all right? So what computer use is basically what I'm telling you is this computer, imagine, belongs to Hermes, and it's going to be we're going to be letting it use it. And this makes everything Hermes will do or need to set up for us significantly simpler, because all we're going to need to do is going to go here, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, hey, can you help me set up Hermes computer use? And then now it's going to go ahead and start installing a package such that Hermes agent can control and access this computer whenever it needs to do something for you, right? So, which means you don't have to use your computer anymore. You can just talk to it and it'll get everything done. Okay, this part is really important. Now it's going to say ask for some permissions to make sure you give your Hermes agent permissions to do stuff. So I'm going to give it all the permissions it needs. And what this is you want to give this thing called Kua driver access. All right, now, all right, so I'm going to hit enable this and hit quit and restart. By the way, this part is totally optional. It just helps me use my Hermes agent to its fullest potential, because now it feels like it has its own computer and it can do whatever it wants with a mind of its own. Let me just zoom in real quick and check this out. I've run into my first snag that it's saying it's not fully done, but I can see that in my settings that I have given it the access. So all I did was just screenshot it and giving it to my Hermes agent. And this is just some basic troubleshooting where it says it needs the permissions. So I just turned these things on and I gave the screenshots and it's saying this is good. Now I should be able to verify. So right here, this is not required, but I'm just showing you how it's done. Okay, cool. So now Hermes agent should be able to use our computer. Okay, so let's open a new session. And now what we want to do is make sure we have our Hermes agent connected to all our texting channels so we can use it from anywhere we want. All right. Okay, so really quickly, I want to show you how I have my actual Hermes agent that I use set up, right? So first of all, I use Telegram a lot. And there's two ways I use Telegram. So first, you can see I have one channel where Hermes and I just talk solo. Okay, so this is just a long thread and I don't want to scroll up and down too much. But anyways, I also have a team of Hermes agent. So this is my capture channel, and capture channel is basically, let's say, anything that I want my Hermes to just ingest and it doesn't need to respond to me. Like, let's say I found a really cool Instagram video or a YouTube video that I might want to do later. I just dump it in here and my Hermes remembers that all stuff for me. Okay. And then you can see this is called Telegram topics. And the way I use this is right now, whatever topics that I'm thinking or doing in my life, I have a topic chat for, and I can also use it for other things if I need to. So for example, if I just click into trading, I'll show you how to build this trading bot later. But right now, it's just giving me updates on the positions, on what it's doing. So right now, it just bought a leap of Uber for some reason. I think I told it to you or something like that. I forgot, and it also made me a little bit of a dashboard. So you can see I just let Hermes loose with its own portfolio, and you can see it has a 33% overall return already, but we'll get to that later. But right now, what I'm trying to explain to you is that the reason this is so important and the channels is so imperative to set up first is because we want to measure the helpfulness of our Hermes agent. And the most effective way I've found to measure the effectiveness of my AI agents, if it's actually getting meaningful work done for me, is first, I try to measure the amount of work done while I'm away from my desk. And if I don't have these channels set up, it literally can't get a lot of work done while I'm away from my desk, right? And also I have no input or insight over it. Number two, I want to see the percentage of work that's automated by Hermes. So if I have some vision of, hey, this is doing all this stuff for me, like it created that dashboard on its own and deployed it, I didn't have to do that. That is some work that I would love to have done, and it just does it on its own. And number three, because we want to treat Hermes as an AI employee, we want to measure our revenue per employee in our company. If it's just one person, that's fine too. If it's many people, that's fine too. Because we're going to be giving everyone in your organization to work with Hermes as an employee. So I'll show you how to get all of this stuff set up. But first, let's connect Telegram, and then I'll show you how to connect iMessage, Discord, and a bunch of others. All right. To set up all the channels, just quickly, so you have reference, in my free community, if you go to Classroom and inside the YouTube video resources, you can see I have a bunch of resources, but one of them is Hermes Agent Channel Setup Guide. And it's basically a resources with all the prompts and stuff you can be using to help you set up a lot of this stuff, right? So
A bunch of those resources, including the mural board, will be in the description below, just if you were curious. But let me show you how to make sure that you can connect your Telegram. So you can watch me right here as well. So the first things first, you want to go to messaging. Okay, first of all, you see, it wants us to run this BotFather thing and then user info bot. And in the setup guide, if I just go back to that, just because it's a little easier. So if I just go back to the setup guide, you'll see I have some links here. And if you hit this, you can open up automatically BotFather and then hit start. Okay, and then let's go back to the Hermes desktop just so I can show you, and I'll make this smaller. Okay, so let me make this smaller, and Telegram is right here. So first we need the bot token, right? So we're going to go here, and then we're going to do /new bot. Right. Let's call a name. Let's say Hermes course video _ bot. And good. Now let's choose a username for this pod. Okay. And I'm just going to copy and paste this same thing. Maybe I should have named that something else. Okay. Now I have all of this stuff, right? So what I'm going to do now is I am going to copy this token and paste it here. And then I'm going to hit save changes. Great. Now you can see Telegram setup has been saved. No new credentials. You need to restart it to take effect. Now I'm going to scroll down and then hit save. Now it's restarting right now. So this yellow thing means it's restarting. Okay, see, this is kind of cool. So now for whatever reason, my Hermes has just stopped and is not restarting, right? So what do? We can go to something like Codex, and then I'm going to be opening a new chat. So I just opened up a new chat and I'm like, hey, my Hermes agent is not working. It was trying to set up Telegram, but it just failed and it keeps restarting, but it's not restarting. Something's going on. Can you help fix it? And then I'll tell it to do that. And in the beginning, expect to have some of these difficulties, but once you have this buddy system underway, any snag or bumps in the road that you hit, you should be able to fix like this. And I'm actually very glad I did hit something right now. Okay, awesome. So check this out. It's doing something, but now I can see it went from nothing to connected. Telegram is now connected. Great. So now this should be good. What I'm going to show you now is if I take this away, what we need to do now is this token got saved. So what we're going to do is right here, this link, we're going to hit this one and then do /start. And then here's our pairing code. Now we need to pair this thing. So what I'm going to do right now is make sure I go back, and then let's even start a new session, make this a bit easier. I'm just going to copy this and say, hey, I'm trying to connect my Telegram bot. I just got this message. Can you help me out? And then right here, I just entered all of this stuff. And right here, Telegram should just help me pair Hermes. Awesome. So send a message to the bot now. It should recognize you automatically and say hi. Okay. So you can see some new stuff is happening and it's great. It's now responding to me. And it wants us to set a home. So I'm going to set this chat as our home chat. Great. So that means any random updates that Hermes may need to give us will come here. But that was a really easy showcase of the buddy system on why we use it. And if we ever run into any roadblocks with Hermes, if it's not restarting correctly, where we can get that done. All right. So this is number one. Number two, I want to show you how to set up a topic chat so you can have multiple topics and you're not only just messaging from one thread over and over. All right. Okay. To make a new topic thread is really simple. All you do is first you make a new group. So first you don't need to add anyone, but let's call it YouTube course topics. And then let's hit create. Cool. So there's YouTube course create topics. Now, if I go to my Hermes bot and click on him right here and then add him to our thing right here, Then what I want to do is to actually become an admin. Add bot as an admin, you see? And this will give it all of what it's needed. So now if I come here and then I say hi, you can see the bot is right here. And now this is the big part. What I want you to do is right here, click your Telegram topic and then enable topics by going to edit. And then what you want to do is go to topics and then enable topics. And I like it as tabs. Okay, so right now what you're going to see is this will have a general chat. So what I can do right now is make multiple tabs like I have right here, so I can be more organized with how I talk with it. And I can even ask my Hermes to make different channels. So for example, hey, can you make 3 different topic threads? One of them can be for this builds for this YouTube course. Another, can you make it for trading? And another one, just make a capture channel. Okay, so I'll let this keep going and then we'll come back when it's done. And you see right here, this is very important. And this is one of the reasons I really, really like Telegram, is because other channels don't have this as well. But right now, while Hermes is working on your request right here, what is going to happen is Hermes is typing is going to keep showing up. And this makes it really easy for me to understand when it's working and when it's not, and I can hop between different threads and make it work on different things simultaneously. All right. And one other thing I want to show you is make sure in Telegram, what you want to do is very, very important in your phone. Use this from your phone. Okay, so you can see I can see the same updates from my phone, and this is what you want to do so you can be mobile and working with it. And also one more thing is I don't want to probably see all these reasonings, so I'll show you how to make sure we don't see that anymore. Quick thing, just make sure all these are turned on, right? And Hermes has all the permissions inside that channel. And if you're wondering how to get there, really simple, is just click this and then edit, admins. And if you click this, you should be able to find it, right? Try now. Awesome. So you see right now, it's created all these different channels. And now I can say hi in all of these. Hi. And you can use different threads or open up and manage different threads with Hermes managing them, right? So this is a very early start of what you can be doing with Telegram. We're going to be diving much more into this later. But right now, since we have this set up, let's dive into the other channels and we'll get those set up first. All right, so this I will say is probably one of my favorite channels to use Slack, and it's because you can use it to manage your whole team, and it basically works like an AI employee that is integrated with your team. So just to show you how we use it in our team, for example, you can see some of my teammates, they are using Hermes agent to get stuff done. I can whitelist it so other people can talk to him really easily. And this is behaving like our own teammate. It has context and talks to everyone in the team. It knows what everyone's up to, and it helps us not have siloed information and helps us really, really work a lot faster and smoother because we can just tell it to do something and it goes out and does it. Okay, so let me show you how to set that up because it is probably one of the most valuable things you can be doing. All right, so to set up Slack, what we do is first we go to messaging, and then you can see there's Slack right here. So first, we want to make sure we get our bot token, and I'll show you how to get that. All you need to do is click this button, and you can see this is my Hermes that's already set up. And now what we want to do is create a new app from scratch. And then let's call it Hermes YouTube course. And then let's put AI answers and make it go in there. Cool. Now that we have that, first what we need is our bot token. And where you get that is first you have to go to OAuth and permissions. And after you go there, Then we need to give it a couple different scopes. So if I scroll down right here, and I'm going to add 2 scopes. So I'm going to add commands. I'm going to add I am write. And I'm going to write I am read. And for reference, you can give it a lot more. This is just the minimum I'm giving it. So it has some access to do things you need to. If you need to give it more access, feel free to add more scopes. Okay. So after this is done, then what we want to do is we hit install to aianswer.us. Okay. So right here, you can see I am going to allow to install it. And then I'm going to get this bot token. So we're going to need this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Hermes and I'm going to paste this in. But don't hit save yet. I'm going to go back. And now what we need to do is go to socket mode and turn on socket mode. And let's call this YouTube and generate. And what we're going to do is copy this now. We're going to go back and paste this inside the Slack app token. All right. Okay. Then I'm going to hit save changes. Now it needs a gateway restart. If this doesn't work, just close it and restart it. So I'm going to restart this gateway right now. So let me get that done. And then once this is back up, I'll come back.
All right, so the gateway just restarted. And the gateway is basically what's responsible for Hermes being able to talk to all these channels, right? So whenever you add or subtract any of these channels, you basically just have to restart the gateway. Okay, so now what just happened, just imagine, is Slack. There's a gateway to Hermes. But the thing is, we just need to install inside our Slack that application for Hermes. Okay, so let me show you how to do that now. So what you want to do is go back to your Slack, and right here inside app home, just make sure you show your bot as online, and then you check these on. Okay. Okay, so this should be called Hermes YouTube course. So basically, if you just copy this and then go back to your Slack and then go find it, Hermes YouTube course, you should see it. And then hopefully this is high. If not, we'll troubleshoot it. Okay. And you see it responded here. So I can be like, hey man, who are you? And we can now talk to Hermes through any channel in Slack. So let's say I can make a new channel right here, just like this. Hermes YouTube test. And then let's say I'll make it a private channel. If we want, we can invite other people. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add right here. I'm just going to say Hermes YouTube course. If I'm just going to add it here, and I'm just going to hit add and say add Hermes. How are you, man? And then you can see it works in threads. I should make sure these don't come up anymore, but you can see the reply, how, doing well, etc. And it's very simple to do that if you really want to. Just be like, hey, I'm not trying to see all these useless texts. Just send me your response. That's how I want to see your responses in the future. There we go. Okay, and then it'll go and work on that. But it's that simple to get Slack inside your, how to get Hermes bot and Slack configured together. Now, if you want your teammates to be able to use this bot, you can just be like, hey, whitelist this user, or just inside your Slack integration right here, add their Slack IDs, or just say allow all users equal to true. Or in Slack, you can literally just say, hey, whitelist this user, and it'll be fine. And you can see right here, memory, user only wants Hermes replies. Anyways, we'll leave that there. And now let's actually set up another channel. All right, now to set up iMessage, and I love using iMessage for like quick stuff, especially when I'm texting. It's really simple. It's done through this application called Photon.codes. And all you have to do is sign up, and it's free to get started. So right here, I'm just going to sign up. And then it wants your phone number. All right, so once you sign up, you'll see something like this. Then you need to create a project, and let's call it Hermes YouTube course. Great. Let's create a project, and we can use iMessage right here. And then let's create that. then it's really, really easy to set up. And right here, this is the iMessage number we're going to be texting. But what we need to do, scroll down, read the docs. Okay, now I'll show you why we gave our Hermes the ability to actually control our computer. So I'm going to go back to my Hermes, and right here, I'm just going to paste this docs in, and I'm going to say, right here, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to take this, copy it, and first I'm going to say, hey, I want you to use these docs to set up my Hermes gateway so I can be messaging it in iMessage. Here is my credentials. Can you set this all up? Let me know when it's done. And right here, this should be good to go. And then I'm going to hit enter. And then this is the cool part. This one is pretty easy to set up because now with all the different skills that we've already set up for Slack and Telegram, this should very easily be able to set this up for us. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here. I just want to make sure I scan this code. And what that does is basically enables you to text this number. And I'm just going to say hi after this is done. So I'll wait for that. All right, so this is saying done, Photon iMessage is configured and the gateway is running. Let me refresh this window right here. And then let me go back. Then let me go to my phone and then message this number, hi. Awesome, so it's responding now. All this GPT context, all the stuff, and then it responded hi back. And that's as easy as that. We just connected iMessage with our Hermes agent. So now we have Hermes agent in a bunch of different places. Okay, with that done, let's actually start making our Hermes agent better. We'll give it a personality and making sure that it can actually do real world tasks and have a really robust memory. Okay, let's get into that. Awesome. So now that we have our Hermes connected to multiple channels and we can talk to it through our computer and every other channel, what we want to make sure is how we talk to it, it's actually pleasant and it knows us over time. And, you know, there's like a general good vibe, right? And the way we do that is through this thing called identity files. Basically, we want Hermes to remember who we are and we want to control how it behaves and we want to make sure it remembers everything, right? So first off, let's start with its personality because that's the easiest to understand. So Hermes's personality comes through its soul, and all that is just a file that gets loaded in each time it talks to you. And it basically tells Hermes, hey, how to speak, what tone to use, and its purpose, right? Basically, this is also going to be evolving over time if you ask it, but let me give you a quick example so you can understand. So this is just an example of me talking to my Hermes a while back. So I had my flight, and it told me about my flight right here. And notice this is kind of funny. It said airport goblin tax included. I think I said this a while back and I just picked up on it. I don't know why. But then this is kind of funny. And then I wanted to use the lounge in the airport, right? So you can see it just says, if you want to maximize your lounge goblin mode, leave her on this. So it's kind of fun to talk to, you know? Like it tells me, and it also remembers stuff about me. And you see how it's talking in lower caps? It's just in line, giving me some quick links rather than all those ChatGPT nonsense you see where it's droning on for pages and there's no useful signal or information. So I'll show you how to get that. And it's really easy. And it's done through the soul file, right? And I'll show you where that's located. So if you open up your Hermes agent, on the bottom left, right here, you see it says default. If you click manage profiles, this is the soul. So you technically don't have to touch this at all, but this is what the default soul for your Hermes agent is, all right? If you wanted to talk a little differently, what I'd recommend is for you to do this. By the way, this whole board is going to be in the link in the description below in my free community, but right here, you can see this is the identity files. And this is some interview questions so your Hermes can get to know you. It answers everything. Basically, all you need to do is just this. You copy this, okay? You go back to your Hermes, you can paste it and just say interview me, and you can go back and forth and it will know all of your details, okay? So that's number one, that's the easy way to do it. And this will ensure that your Hermes knows who you are. And you can see there's a lot of questions and little things about you that I made sure that Hermes should know. And it has very specific questions that you can go to as well. And if you just want to be a little faster, I also gave you my soul.md. And my soul.md, basically, I just want the point. I want it to lead with answers. I want it to actually have opinions and use evidence to support it. This is a soul that I found really good. And, I like how it sounds like this. So if you really want the easier way, if you just want to use how I like talking to Hermes, you can just go here. You can manage profile, and a profile is just one Hermes personality and bot, and it has all the connections, and we'll get into profiles in a little bit. But if you just paste these here, and then you save your soul.md, then your Hermes should act a little differently, a bit better than how you really talk to it, okay? All right, so that's the first thing I wanted to cover, and that is the soul of the Hermes. And then I want to take you through how the user.md works. And the user.md is basically an identity tag. So this is a file where Hermes writes all this stuff about you, all right? And that's why I told you to answer all these questions and put it into Hermes. All you need to do is answer all these questions. You put it inside Hermes and just say, remember all this stuff. And then your Hermes basically just remembers you across days and weeks, and it's not just a generic chatbot, right? And it feels more like working with an assistant, and I really enjoy doing that. So the easiest way, again, is just to make the agent interview you. And if you can start from blank, it becomes really easy to use. All right? So just answer all those questions, dump it in, and you should be good to go. But after that's done, let's get to the fun part, because now I want to show you what the memory is like and different options of memories you can use for your Hermes such that it's actually intelligent over time. So this part is super important. All right, so let me tell you why this is actually not a very simple problem. Because once you understand this, you can see why what we're doing matters so much and why Hermes is so impactful with the right setup that I'm going to show you, right? Because most people think memory is simple. It's just that the assistant should remember what you said and bring it up later. That's the basic version. Like if I tell an assistant I'm working on a Hermes course, it should remember that in a later or in the same conversation or in some other random conversation, right? This is just a low table stakes. Most memory products, even the inbuilt Hermes memory, can do that. And it's built into everything like Cloud Code, Codex, everything. But real agentic memory is harder than that. And let me describe why. The first problem is single session memory. So imagine there's a long conversation you're having, and the assistant has to remember what the user said earlier. So if I say in the conversation, keep this direct, no fluff, and then we talk for, let's say, 40 more minutes, the assistant should still follow that preference, right? It has to also remember what the assistant did. If the assistant created the file, made a plan, or promised to follow up on something, it should not lose track of its own work. The second problem is knowledge updates. And this is where memory starts getting a little tricky. Let's say I ask the assistant about my job. It should not talk about the job that I had before in the past. It should know that my life has changed. Same with preferences. Maybe last month, I liked long explanations. Now I keep saying, give me direct scripts. Good memory should update, and it should not treat old facts equally as true as new facts. And the third problem is multi-session memory. So this is where useful information is spread across different conversations. So if I'm having a conversation in Telegram, Slack, maybe let's say I planned the Hermes course in one chat, created the visuals in another one, and then debugged the setup in Cloud Code later, right? A good memory system has to connect all those different moving pieces together. Otherwise, every new session feels like I'm starting over from scratch. The fourth problem is temporal reasoning. And this is the hardest one. The assistant needs to understand time what happened last year, what happened yesterday, and then what's changed in between them, right? For example, if I ate a lot of ice cream last summer, and then later I started disliking ice cream for some odd reason, and now maybe I like sundaes again, the assistant has to know which preference matters right now. It can't remember the fact as permanent truth, right? It has to understand that preferences change over time. That is what real memory means. Not just what did the user say, but when did they say it? Is it still true? Does a new fact replace this? All of this, and should this affect the answer right now? And this is why memory is such a hard problem to crack, because for agents, memory is not a nice extra feature. Memory is what lets the agent stop acting like a new intern every time you open the chat. And that is the problem we're going to be solving with Hermes plus Honcho. So let me show you why that's so impactful. And Honcho is one of the fastest growing open source projects that currently exist, and for good reason, and I'll show you why. So first of all, Honcho helps us solve the cold start problem. So let's say you start a new chat. Normally it'll forget who you are and there's no working relationship. So if you have Honcho installed, you become the memory router, which means you don't have to do anything with memory. Doesn't matter which chat you're on, it will always have context, and you can start up new sessions where normally these agents work much, much better. All right. So the continuity for your agents becomes really good, and you can just have incredibly long conversations with your agents. And the second one, I love this one. Basically, how we're going to be using Honcho. So with this diagram, Honcho is going to be one shared brain, and it doesn't matter if we're using Cloud Code, Codex, Open Code, Hermes, OpenClaw, it doesn't matter. We're going to put everything in one shared brain, making that bigger and bigger over time. So whatever tool is best for the job, we can use that. All right. And then one really cool thing Honcho has is this concept of diachronic identity. And what that means really is that Honcho creates peer cards for everyone in your life, whoever you're talking to, or even your AI agents. What does that mean, right? So that just means, imagine there's you, and then there is, let's say, your manager, right? And then there's a coworker, and then let's call him Bob. Okay, so let's say Bob is non-technical and he can't code, so you probably think Bob can't code. Okay, and your manager probably thinks of you as, let's say, hardworking. And these are all different relationships, right? Your manager also thinks something of Bob. What diachronic identity really does is helps Honcho know all of this stuff based on whatever you're telling your Honcho or in your agent messages. It will glean from this context and save it, right? And let me show you an example. So this is my Honcho, and you can see I have a lot of different sessions. I use this a lot because I love it so much. But it creates like different peer cards for me. And then you can see they have a lot of little things I can search for. So these are peers. So for example, peers can be different coworkers, whatnot. There's a lot that keeps going, but Honcho basically ingests all your conversations from everything. So let's say you're using Cloud Code, Codex, Hermes, it all passes through Honcho. So it gets access to all your messages, right? From that, it does the output, and the output is always much better. So it's going to be storing, and because it's going to be storing it and processing it, it makes it really easy for your agents to have one working brain, right? So here's a couple different examples that you can see of how it helps. But I don't want to get too deep into this. But essentially, you can see how it uses little context clues and like ties things back and forth between different conversations, right? And it does that through this thing because it's dreaming. And this is one of the most important parts about Honcho. Like, for example, let's say you learn a lot of information in one day. You're probably going to go to bed, and then you're going to reason over it in your head over time and really internalize those things. Honcho kind of has that same things where it takes all those raw chats and then creates it into useful memory because it reasons. And it does that
through this thing called Neuromancer. It's basically just a fine-tuned model, and you can use any AI model to do the reasoning. But basically, you're parsing all the AI messages or whatever you're doing with your AI through a model, and which means all the knowledge updates are happening, all the logical implications, your agent is drawing all of that, any contradictions, any peer card. So if I'm talking to 10 different people, I'll make 10 different peer cards and know my relationship with all of them and act accordingly, right? And this is the most important part. The reason why I'm showing you this is this. This is the reason why we use Hermes agent plus Honcho as an AI employee, and why it works 10 times better than Claude and Codex alone. Okay? They're meant to work together, and I'll show you how easy it is to set it up. But just a quick word of caution, Honcho is dangerous. The reason it's dangerous is because if you give it a lot of power, it has a lot, you have to be responsible with it, right? So imagine giving all your details to one memory system from everywhere. It's really good, it's really useful, but on the wrong hands, it's problematic. But the nice part is that, it is open source. And because it's open source, you can self-host this thing in your Mac Mini or wherever you want, right? And which means nobody has access to it but you, and you get a really good working system that's private. Okay, so with that being said, let me show you how to set this up, because it's so simple. And all you need to do to set it up is it actually comes pre-packaged with your Hermes agent, which is really cool. So what you want to do is first you go into your settings, then you go to memory and context, and right here where you see memory provider, you want to make sure you choose Honcho, right? And then you'll see this thing right here, connect via OAuth. You want to connect via OAuth. Make sure you make a Honcho account, and then let's say I'm going to put my name and then authorize and write, and then that's it. I'm connected. Awesome. It's that easy to use, and your Hermes agent just became a hell of a lot better. Okay, so with that being done, and hopefully you understand all the memory and whatnot, let's move on to making this Hermes agent way more powerful. All right, so now that our Hermes has memory, the next big question is management. So if one agent can remember things and take actions, how do we manage multiple agents and our team without losing track of what we're trying to do and the goals we're trying to accomplish, right? And this is what that section is about. It's to set up our AI workforce so that we have visibility and control. And how we're going to be doing this is fundamentally humans. We like to work in a collaborative chat. So something like Slack. So you can see right here, me and my team, we talk with our Hermes just like it's a person. But that's not enough. What we need to do is like how actual big organizations work is through a project board so we can keep track of everything, right? And think about like a normal team. Everyone works in private DMs, and people honestly just do not want to update their boards or whatever ticket they're working on, right? If the work was on a board, it's very easy to manage, and we're going to be using this service called Multica that's free, and we can get our AI agents to do all the updates for us, and our team and agents can work from one place. All right, and I'll show you an example of mine, and this is my Multica board that I'll show you how to set up. And right now we're in this runtimes section, and all runtimes means is everything that I subscribe to, so stuff like Claude, my Codex, my Hermes agent, my OpenClaw, all these I can manage from one place, right? And I can also see where they're running, if they're locally running on my MacBook or my Mac Mini, whatever computer you have, or even your team's computer, right? And the nice part is my team is in here as well. So you can see me and Danny are on this, and we're working with our agents in one board. And the cool part is now it's managed in different projects. So I can see there's some projects that we've been working on and that are in progress that Hermes is leading. I gave Hermes its own squad. So it is my chief of staff that's using my Codex and my Claude to get work done. And we can see all the issues it's been working on over time. So for example, let's open this one up. You can see I can add some comments here and there, and then what's happening is it's learning the skill that I really liked, and I can track whatever is happening, and I can even leave a comment here if I want to. And in that way, how I'm working with my agents, I'm really, really organized, right? So you can also have different workspaces for your life. So for example, this is a personal one. I also have one for my Cloud Club. And we have a lot of different ways to organize how we're working with agents. But the nice part is that we don't technically have to use this if we want. This is just to make sure we have observability into our agents, what they're doing, and making sure we don't lose track of millions of different threads if we're working on them at the same time, right? And I'll show you how to set this up, and it's really simple. All right, and to set this up, the one concept you need to understand is the concept of hooks. And what a hook really is, it's basically an automatic trigger. So when Hermes does something, like every time you send it a message, or it starts work, updates, or finishes a whole segment, the hook will basically automatically always fire, and it's deterministic. So it is 100% of the time will happen, and it won't hallucinate, right? So what we're going to do, because with the concept of hooks, we can get Hermes to do something each and every time after it finishes a message, we're going to set up 2 hooks. And one hook is we're going to set up for our Honcho, which already has been done. And what this is doing is every time we send Hermes a message and it finishes, it's automatically going to load our memory. And the other hook we're going to place in Multica. So let's say we ask it to make something. What it's going to do, because of the hook, it will always update the board or make a new issue or update the project. And in that way, your board is always going to be managed by Hermes, and you just have to look at the board and you can see, reply, everything, which means you have an agentic project manager from scratch. So now with that being said, let me show you how to set it up. All right, to set this up, the first thing we're going to do is go to multica.ai. Then let's get started. By the way, this is also free and open source, so you can self-host it. So if you're curious on how to do that, here's the code right here in GitHub. But all you need to do is get started, and then let's log in. Okay, so I'll log in with Google in a brand new fresh account, and you can download on the desktop or just continue on the web. Okay, then what you want to do is ideally download it to your computer, okay? So you download it, and then you open it up. So I downloaded Multica in my computer. Now I'm going to open it up, and you can see it automatically knows that I have a couple different things on my MacBook. So remember at the very start, we downloaded Codex and Hermes. So we have all of those, right? So I'm going to pick Hermes, and then I'm going to start exploring. Great. And then you can just make sure your Multica can start doing stuff. And I just picked the last one, and your Multica helper is doing this. So what happened now, right? Let me make this bigger. So what happened now is in my runtimes, you can see all my agents are here, right? And this is my MacBook Pro that I'm filming on right now. And then here is all the workspaces. So we're working on Hermes course right now. And you can see inside issues, it's building the stuff. It's building the slideshow for me so I can learn Multica. And you can see there's no project yet. So let's create our first project. And when we're going to be doing our builds later, everything is going to be a project. So let's say test project. Great. So you can see in your inbox, whenever it has an update for you, you can look at it and you can leave any comments that you need to. Okay, so first thing what we want to do is I'm in runtimes, and we want to make sure our Hermes agent is our project manager and is like our AI chief of staff, right? And the way you set that up, and I'll show you the easiest way. If you want to go to settings, and then you're going to go to API tokens, and let's create a new token. Let's call it project manager. And then right here, I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to go back to my Hermes chat, right? I'm going to enter this. I'm going to say Multica API key. I'm like, hey, I want to set it up such that you are my AI project manager and my chief of staff, right? And to do that, what I want you to do is set a hook such that every time I ask you to do something, you update our Multica project board with and create an issue for what I'm trying to do. If it pertains to be a new project, I want you to make that. But essentially, you are the project manager, and everything I say to you should be tracked inside the Multica board. And use this API key, set all that stuff in motion such that we can see a test issue. And I want you to create a test thing that you have created, and I want to see it moved across the board to done. All right. I want to communicate with you through Multica as well. So remember, you are my AI project, more organized way. All right. So I gave it my key and I just told it what I'm looking for. So after this is done, I'll come back and you will see right here, ideally in issues, we'll have a new issue that is going to be dragging across and we can interact with it. All right. And remember, this is one big part, is I already told it to set a hook right here. I told it to set a hook, and that's why I wanted to teach you that concept, such that it does it every time. All right. All right. So once this is done, I'll come back and I'll show you what's going on. All right. So this got done and did a bunch of stuff, and you can see it created a Multica project management skill without me having to ask, and it's saying it moved a bunch of projects. So let me go to Multica and then check that out, right? So in Multica, you can see there's a bunch of stuff in my inbox, which means if we go to projects, there we go. That's awesome. Hermes AI Project Manager Chief of Staff. So it made this project on its own. And then you can see all these tasks are in done. So first it started with some tests, and I can see everything very organized. Okay. So now we know that our Hermes is always going to use Multica. And just to verify, this is just for fun, what I did, I asked it, hey, just answer me yes or no. If I ask you to create a website, will you create a Multica issue first? I can track from there, because there's a hook set without having me to say, save this to Multica or anything. And it just said yes. Basically, it knows that it needs to always use the board to work with, right? Great. So now you can see we have a bunch of our agents in Multica, and all of this is hosted on our laptops. So even if you have a VPS somewhere or any other computer, you can see different computers and what agents are on those, and you can control any of them from anywhere with this tool. All right. Okay. So now let's say in our Hermes, we have a bunch of things we can do, right? Hermes is super powerful, but let's say there are different bots or sessions we want to make sure we are protected. Let's say we can have one customer service bot, another is a chief of staff, another is responsible for development, and we want our Multica to control all of those, right? So it's very simple to set that up, and let me show you how. Okay, and to understand that, what I want to show you first is this concept of profiles. And the concept of profiles is basically how we're going to be taking one Hermes desktop setup and turn it into different AI employees. So instead of mixing our personal work and our business work and our client work, we're going to set up different profiles, and each will get its own role, model, memory, skills, and tool access. And for example, I can have one personal agent and one for my business ops. If I have 10 business, I can have 10 more, and one for even each client if you want, right? And each one will have their own soul, own model, own connectors, everything. If you want, you can clone them. It's really easy, but let me show you how to set this up. All right, so setting up a new profile is really easy. On the bottom left right here, you see, you already have one profile. If I had managed profiles, I already have one profile, and I can hit a new profile by calling it, let's say, personal. Okay, and you can clone from your default, so it'll have all the stuff that you're already doing, or none. So I'm going to choose none just to show you how it works. So now I have a personal profile, you see, right? Okay, and then what you want to do is reload. Okay, so after you reload, then you'll see there is my default profile and my personal profile, and it's now waking up personal, and now there's new chats, all the new different skills, everything, right? So you can set this up as a completely new Hermes agent from scratch. So right here, let's go look at it. So you can see you can have your personality, and let's make this like a, I don't know, let's make this cat girl for fun. And let's see, what model is it using? So see, you want to select the model first, which is very important. So let's
if we want, let's say, to use our Grok API that you can use, or our OpenAI API, you can do that. But let's choose Codex, and then I'm going to choose 5.5. And this one, I'm just going to want it to be really fast. So I want it to be low, and I'll apply there. So this one will be snappy, right? This will be my snappy model. Cool. Okay, so now that I have that set up, what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to go back to my Multica. In my runtimes, what I can do is, again, you go to settings, you can get an API token. I would say make a new one for your personal agent, personal Hermes agent. And then let's create that API key, copy this, and then let's go back to Hermes, and then here. This is your API key for Multica. Go do research and onboard yourself onto Multica so I can see you in the runtimes or the agents. And let me get this done, and then I'll come back. All right, so this just got done, and it's just saying it's good. And if I go back in my runtimes, you can see this, all right? This is the default profile, and this is the personal profile. Cool. So now we have two agents inside our Multica, and we know which one's what, right? We have this one as well. Okay, now what I'm going to show you is this concept of squads. So let's say you can always have different models for each different Hermes profile. And if you go into squads right here, you can just create a new squad. Let's say Team Claude Club, and you have to select a leader, right? So you can either choose your default or your Hermes, let's say chief of staff, and it can have people that it can work with. So let's say it can assign stuff to me, I can assign stuff to it, and then the personal profile is another employee as well. Okay? And that's really cool. Now you can see there's 3 members in the squad, and this is the leader. And what that means is basically Hermes chief of staff can assign things to me or the personal profile, right? And if you want to see what happens is if I just hit this agent detail, you can see, you can put instructions of when to use what, right? Like when to use each model. And I'll show you an example of what I use, right? Okay, so I'm in my personal Multica now, and I'll show you this. This is my SAM squad. And this helps me do stuff. And Hermes is my leader because it's the chief of staff. It remembers all my context. And you can see it uses Codex and Claude. So I have both these subscriptions. So whichever one's better, I just get it to use that. So for example, Claude is significantly better at design. So you can see planning, product design, high reasoning. Codex I've found to be much better at coding. So if I go to these instructions, you can see it's better for implementing Claude's plans and all its jobs, right? The thing is, I didn't write any of this. You could just go back to Hermes and then say, hey, set up my team, set up my squad such that I have XYZ and I'm using different models for different things. And in that way, you can set up a squad, right? And a cool part about squad is that you can give them their own things. Like each thing can have their own skills and their own environment variables. So, for example, my Codex has a bunch of skills. So you can see there's a lot of skills that my Codex has. And a lot of them are like these YouTube skills, for example. Whenever I want my Hermes to do something, it can call my Codex if it's the best model for the job, and I don't have to worry about that, right? It takes care of all this research. So that's one concept we're going to be diving into in a bit. We'll be getting a lot more into this later. This is quite an advanced topic, but for now, just understand that this is my chief of staff, this is my Hermes, and it can control my Codex or Cloud Code, whatever subscriptions I have. Again, this is not necessary for most people, but with this setup, it keeps me very organized and very flexible. And to show you an example, what I did, I just told my Multica to go ahead and create tasks for my life and business so I can show how you can manage something. And you can see there's 2 workspaces now, right? There's a Hermes course, imagine this is business, and then there's personal, right? In my Hermes course, you can see there's business follow-ups, things you may have to outreach and then keep track of. And there's also, let's say, a demo of YouTube pipeline. So this is like things I have to do, create my Multica talking points, etc. And then I can stay organized because I can also see my life projects that I have in my personal life, right? So whenever I have errands, home maintenance, I can see, for example, go inside, I can see, oh, I need to order vacuum replacement parts, create summer home maintenance, all of these little things, you can stay organized very well with the setup. So this is basically how we keep our AI workforce and our AI agents all organized, and we can see and interact with it as people, right? Because remember, you can always just assign it. You can just come here and chat with your AI agents really easily. All of these, right? So now that we have our structure set up and we have a good foundation on top of which we can build a lot of projects on, let's actually get into building things that are useful for us long term.
Okay, now if you want to build things that are actually robust, we need to understand the building blocks first. And Hermes is not magic, and it can't access external applications like Gmail or Google Slides and build automations without you giving it the right access first, right? So we need a way to control external apps and use their functionality. And this usually happens through a connector. And these connectors can be referred to as either an MCP, it can be a CLI, or it can be an API. All these terms mean is just different ways to communicate with external applications and use the app's functionality. And if you want to make sure you have the right foundation, in my Claude Club, actually, I have this guide where I tell everyone to go over as pre-work. And honestly, once you go over this, you can see, like, for example, APIs, we have a little picture, a little game interaction, and these help non-technical, newer people become really good experts into using this type of technology because it just breaks it down with stories, analogies really easily, right? But as an overview, I'll show you how to use each and every one of these. And let's start with MCPs, okay? And for MCPs, the easiest way I can explain it is I'm going to show you how to use this thing called Composio. And Composio is basically what it says. Your agent decides what to do, and then they handle the rest. So what you want to do, the nice part is this is also free. After you sign into your account, what Composio really is let's say your Hermes agent right here, it needs to access, let's say, your Google Calendar, your Gmail, and all these different apps, right? So Composio serves as the gateway that it accesses all these different applications. Okay, and you can see it makes it really easy to authenticate because that's normally where the hard part is. And you can see they have like hundreds and hundreds of apps, right? So what you want to do if you want to authenticate with your Composio is, let's say you go in here. Let's say I'm going to Composio for you on the top. And then right here, let's say I want to connect. I'm already connected to my Gmail. But what I can do is, let's say I want to add linear. All you do is hit connect. And in one click, you can sign into all your applications really easily, right? So right now, I will show you something really easy. And let's say we want our Hermes agent to control our calendar. So you can see Google Calendars right here, and there's like I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of more other stuff. But make sure I connect my Google Calendar. And then I will go back to my Hermes. And then let me go to my right profile and have a new session. Then I'm going to say, hey, I'm trying to connect to Composio MCP with OAuth. I already have a lot of my stuff connected. Can you give me the link so I can authenticate and you can set up Composio MCP for me? And this basically helps you install Composio. So what we're doing right now with this thing is we're giving Hermes access to Composio. Okay? And through that, we can connect to hundreds of different apps really easily, and we can manage it all from one place. So here's all the apps. You can manage your, I don't know, Slack, your HubSpot, your Twitter now. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. From all one place. So let me get this done, and then I'll come back once this is good. Okay, so it just opened up this thing, and I guess I just have to click Allow Access. Authorization successful. Let me go back to my Hermes. And let it keep working. Cool. So this is now available. And just to verify, if you go to settings and then go to MCP, you can see Composio right here. Now I can do cool stuff. So I can ask it to be like, hey, what's my, what do I have for tomorrow in my calendar Awesome. So it picked up everything on my calendar, and that's cool. Now it can access my calendar and I can get it to move stuff around, make appointments for me, everything through any channel, even from my phone. Awesome. So that's the basics of MCP. Okay, now let me show you a really useful CLI that is super useful, right? Okay, and the CLI I want you to know about is this thing called Google Workspace CLI. Okay, and Google Workspace CLI is fantastic because it lets us use Google Drive, all our Google Chat. It lets me use Google Drive, Google Slides, Google Docs, make all those changes with my Hermes agent, and it has a lot more functionality to it, right? And it's a lot easier to use. So this is GitHub, and I'll have this link down below as well. And GitHub is basically, if you're curious, where everyone stores their code, and a lot of different CLIs, MCPs will be stored in GitHub, right? So all you would need to do is take the link for this, go back to Hermes, and then say, hey, can you help me install the Google Workspace CLI? And it'll help you do that, all right? So you just go through the steps, and then you'll be good to go. All right, so now that you have Hermes connected to Composio, which connects to any other app, I want to teach you about this concept of cron jobs, right? And this is basically how to get your AI agents to do work for you autonomously, right? And here's a quick little examples we can go through so you can understand what we can do now, right? So since we can connect our applications to our Hermes and we can ask it to do things, we can make really easy autopilots by saying, let's say we want to update our clients every Friday, right? We can always pull the report from Slack, Drive, Google Docs, our project boards, generate a weekly report, and automatically send it to them. You saw we connected our Hermes to Slack, how we did that, and you can just connect it to whatever apps you need. So you can make a Google Drive and send it to them. So we'll be building these in a little bit. I'm just getting you to understand the idea. You can also get your agent to just search for your niche, new content things that are coming up, so it can find trends in your niche and give you content ideas every day. This is how I stay up to date, and I'll show you how I made mine, and it's really cool. Other things people I've seen use it for is also just competitor monitoring. So every day you can just get Hermes to scrape your competitors and monitor their prices. Any pricing changes, you can change it every day, every hour, and just alert you and make changes on your behalf, right? And this one I've seen a lot of people get a lot of value from, which is basically just an invoice payment checker. So basically you can connect it to your Stripe or your QuickBooks. And then if there are any unpaid invoices, then you just draft follow-ups and get Hermes to send it over them, right? And this is done through this thing called cron jobs. So this is really simple. Let me show you how to set one up. All right, so the first thing I want to teach you to build is basically a morning briefing. And this really helps because it really sets you up for your day and you can be clear on the things you're going to be doing. And here's the reason why. Because let's say overnight, or if you miss something, a lot of things happen. Let's say you get flooded with emails, overnight your team works. Essentially, you want from all your context, whether it be Gmail or Slack or any changes in your client that people ask or people having conversations in Slack, you want to, or even just like things happening in the news, right? If you wake up and you have a short summary of, hey, all of this stuff happened and this is what you should action, then it works really, really well to essentially keep you up to date. I'll teach you a cool hack as well. And the hack is basically this. So every night, we basically will get Hermes to ask, what's our biggest street tomorrow? And honestly, if you can just get in the habit of doing this over and over, you'll see you'll make tons of progress on your goal. And this is super simple, but I'll show you how to supercharge it, right? And it's so easy to do. So for this one, I'm actually just going to be opening up Telegram because I want to be receiving Telegram messages. And it's really simple. I'm just going to open up Telegram and I'm just going to speak to Hermes. Hey, every morning at 8 a.m., create a morning briefing for me. Use my calendar
to show me what meetings I have coming up, maybe do some research on what I should be saying. Use my Gmail to find any urgent or important emails from the last 24 hours and make sure you make a draft and send me links so I can look at it. Give me a brief overview of what my team is talking about in Slack and if I need to do anything. Keep the whole briefing short and practical. Include today's schedule, urgent emails, any important docs, any follow-up tasks, and anything I should prepare before meetings. Send it to me here. If there's nothing important, keep it short. And what I want you to also do is use Twitter to go find out what are the trending topics in AI that I can be talking about for my channel. Let's learn this over as we go. What I want you to do right now is send me an example morning briefing and set the cron jobs. Okay? Awesome. So, and it's going to be working right now. So after this spits out its response, I'll show you what this looks like inside the desktop and inside Telegram. Okay, so this just got done. So this is the morning briefing for Wednesday, July 1st. And you can see it has a couple of my things in my calendar, some of my emails. I told it also to scrub out and make some fake emails just because I don't want to show everyone my email. So I said make some stuff from Bill Gates and Sam Altman, etc. But you can see Slack overview. It reads my Composio. It tells me all the stuff, trending topics. It did really well. Sonnet 5 just got released, and some other cool stuff that's like Cloud Science that was literally released like today. So it did pretty good research, and you can see, oh, this is kind of cool. Multica and Hermes set up. So all of this is live right now. So if I want to show you right now, you can see for Hermes agent, what you can do is if I go back to the Hermes app, you can see in the bottom left, there's a cron job, and this is the morning briefing. So this is the thing we're running, and you can see it's going to run every day and what time, all right? And this is kind of cool as well. If I open up Multica, if I go to my project, you can see there's a daily briefing autopilot, and that is basically the thing that was just created. And also there's an autopilot. So autopilot and cron jobs is the same thing. You can see the next run is at July 1st, 8 a.m. And this is the daily briefing that's going to keep running. And we have one place to manage all our cron jobs. And I'll show you what we can do next. All right. So let's say you go back and forth with this, and then you're happy with what this morning briefing looks like. Normally, it's not that you're always going to get it good in the first go. You're probably going to be like, oh, change this language, and maybe I don't need this detail or that detail. So make sure you massage it just by talking to it. And then now let's say it is massaged. What we want to do is learn this concept of making a skill out of what we're doing in our cron jobs, right? So, hey, can you make this into a skill? And the fact that we're making these morning daily briefings, and this skill, I want you to also put in Multica so I can see that, all right? So while this works, what I want to show you and tell you the concept of is skills. So skills, like we just saw, it can do anything that you're doing with your AI agents, whether it be research, writing, making a video, or doing things step by step. Basically, if you have a playbook of one thing you like, so you can see how the research might be different every day, but it's still the same format that you want the output, right? It's basically the package, and the playbook is called a skill. So what we want to do is whenever we know there's a process that we like and we want our Hermes to keep doing it, we want to turn it into a skill because it makes it really easy that we can even share with others and on our team. Okay? Basically now we have our Hermes agent, and our Hermes agent can essentially connect to other apps, like let's say our Google or our Slack, and now it can actually, it runs a job every day and is sending us messages, right? All of this is a lot of work. So it's doing all the research writing, and this is what we call an agentic workflow, right? So agentic workflows are basically just a very simple loop. It's not one prompt, it's a cycle of different things happening. And agentic workflow is that's why they call this thing in Multica Autopilot, is what I realized. I'm not the biggest fan of this name, but essentially, you can see these active autopilots. These are the agentic workflows that we have, and we know that are going to keep running without us having to say anything, right? Basically, Hermes is doing all the research, it's curating, it's creating, it's doing some review, and it's giving it to us. That is basically what an agentic workflow is, and this is probably one of the most important concepts you can be learning on how can I take something that I find useful or that will save me time, and how can I get my agent to keep doing that without me having to ask and it getting better on its own, right? And it fundamentally comes down to the concept of building out a lot of different agentic workflows so your work is handled by itself. And if you can get creative with other agentic workflows, I've actually made a little list right here of all different other use cases you can do just by talking to it. But essentially, it becomes your executive assistant. So for example, this last one I told you, it becomes like your executive assistant loop, or maybe at night it asks you, hey, is there any coding projects or something you want me to work on overnight? And it will spend the night doing things while AI tokens are potentially a little cheaper. The models are more available, and you can just do large goals that I'm going to be showing you later, right? These are all different use cases you can use your Hermes agent to do, and they're all forms of different agentic workflows. I just showed you one, but it's literally all the same, where first, what you need an agent like Hermes, and then you connect it to the necessary apps, like let's say Google Chrome or Slack or whatever. And then what you do is you make sure you massage it to a point where it's good, and then you set it into a loop, and then you make that into a skill. So that's a package. Then that means you can share it with anyone that you want, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. And just to show you something more important, you can see in Hermes Desktop, you have access to all your different skills. All these are different skills that you can use, and Hermes comes pre-built with a lot of them, right? And this is how we make our agents better. And having more skills isn't a problem, because how it looks for skills is there's an index. So it's actually very efficient to have a lot of skills. So don't worry about having a lot of skills. You'll be fine. But you can see Hermes is so good out of the box because they already pre-package a lot of useful skills for you. So you can very simply use Hermes out of the box and you get a lot better experience, right? And you can see all the skills, cron jobs, all these tools, the tool sets are all pre-built in. Like I can search my X without having to configure anything, etc. And now if I go back to my Multica and if I go to skills, you'll also see that morning briefing skill is over here, right? So everything that we're doing with our Hermes is saved in two places. And the nice part about this Multica thing is you can use this on your desktop in the web browser and it becomes really easy to use, right? Okay, so that's what I wanted to teach you about skills. And we're going to be diving a lot deeper into agentic workflows and building out things that are super useful. So let's get into build number 2. All right, so for build 2, we're going to be creating an animated website. And this is where things get a bit more advanced because we're going to be doing this with one command, right? And we don't want to build just any random AI slop landing page. We want to make sure we have stuff like moving sections, animated backgrounds, graphics, photos, videos, and a lot of small details that look polished. So instead of one-shotting with a normal prompt, I'm going to be showing you how to use this thing, and it's called /goal. Okay, and goal basically gives the agent an outcome and makes it loop until the job is done. So the goal is not just make me a website. The goal is make a beautiful animated Hermes website that explains the offer, creates the visual, has a strong copy, all of this stuff, right? The agent is going to build it, check the results itself, fix what's missing, and keep going. So it's going to keep doing it over and over. It also needs to do other things. And like, for example, it needs to make photos. It needs to see how the photos look. It needs to insert them. It needs to make videos, insert the videos. There's a lot of little things we're going to be doing, right? I want to make sure you understand the reason we're using the /goal here is because there's a lot of things that goes into this, and we're going to be building, reviewing, fixing, and repeating. But we don't have to do any of that. We're going to get Hermes to check its own work, and then make sure it gives us the end result that is ideally really, really good, right? Okay, so first of all, what we need to do is we need to find a way to, let's say, generate photos and images and all that stuff. How do we do that? Well, we do that with this thing called Higgsfield AI. And if you sign up to Higgsfield AI, we can, and if you go to this thing called MCP and CLI, right, we can give this to our Hermes agent. So right here, I'm just going to click Hermes, and right here, you can see npm/install all the stuff. And then all I'm going to do is imagine I don't want to do any of the stuff. I'm going to go to my Hermes agent, and I'm going to say, hey, can you install this Higgsfield CLI and help me authenticate it with OAuth? Okay, so I'll let this load. And then what we're doing right now is basically we have our Hermes, right? And then we're connecting it to Higgsfield. Both start with H, but we'll live with it. So Higgsfield will basically give us the ability to create a lot of photos, images, websites, deploy it even, all these different things, right? And I think it's a fantastic skill. So we can also install the skill as well. And it will automatically install the skill like this. But if it doesn't, what you can do is just go here and then boom. Give it that and it should take care of it. All right. So let's see how long it takes and how I need to OAuth. Oh, there we go. It just opened it up and all I need to do is hit allow and our device is authorized and we should be able to use Higgsfield and Hermes together. Great. Okay, so now we should have our Higgsfield authenticated. Now what we need to do is we need to add 2 more skills to make sure this works really well. All right. And the 2 other skills, what we're going to need is number 1, we're going to need Firecrawl, and we're going to need Firecrawl for a bunch of different use cases. So Firecrawl, and what we're going to do with Firecrawl is make sure we can scrape our site, we can monitor it, and we can go to other websites that may be competitors and get a lot of inspiration, right? And installing it is also really easy. You go right here, and also the links are going to be in the description below. I'm going to copy this thing, and then I'm going to go back to Hermes. I'm going to say, hey, can you install Firecrawl? And the other thing I want you to install is this thing called here.now. Also, links in the description. All you have to do is copy the setup, right? And paste it in here and say install this. And to go back to Miro, what here.now helps us do is deploy. So let's say after we make the websites, we need to host our videos and photos somewhere, right? It needs to live somewhere. That is going to happen in here.now, and it's going to be easy for you to deploy any app, website, whatever you can think of in here.now. And it's the best thing because it's literally free instant web hosting, right? It's the best thing I've found, and I highly recommend you use it. And actually, I'll show you a cool little use case that I use here.now for. So, for example, I use here.now for a lot of different things. So right here in my trading, I'll show you. So you can see in my trading bot, it was telling me it did all of this stuff, right? Now, I make it, whenever it wants to respond to me, I don't want to look at this stuff. I want to look at a nice dashboard. So I make me a here.now dashboard each time, and I can always see what's going on. So you can see right now it has a overall 33% return, and this is what its portfolio is like. And this makes it so easy that when I'm on my phone and I'm on the go and I'm using Telegram to talk to my agent, I can just open this up and I can see these dashboards and sites right in front of me, and I don't have to be on a computer to do all of this stuff, right? Here.now is a fantastic app, so I highly recommend you use it. Awesome. So now we should have all of this stuff authenticated. So remember what we just did. If I go back to my Miro board, so remember, we just installed a couple skills and MCPs right now. One of them was Firecrawl. Another one of them was here.now. Another one of them was Higgsfield, right? So with all these 3, we're going to be now using a /goal command. So Hermes can one-shot a website for us, right? So let me go back to Hermes. Actually, let me make this a little nicer. So imagine you're on the go and you want your bot to make this website, right? So let's just up the stakes a little bit. So I'm going to say right here. So I'm going to slash with /goal. And then you can see set a standing goal Hermes works on across turns until achieved. All right. So we're going to make a goal right now, and then I'm going to give it a prompt. Okay. So I want you to build me a website. And to build this website, what I want you to do is make it an animated website. So it should have an animated background, maybe some really good motion in the front. And the offer for the website is simple. Basically, let's say we're going to be building Hermes Agent as 24/7 AI employees for people focused on building content and lead gen systems, right? So let's say it can create stuff like Instagram carousels, reels, YouTube videos, clips, ads, those kind of things, and even scrape what competitors are working for using Firecrawl. So the site needs to feel premium, animated, maybe make it black and white like Notion, and go find the Hermes logo and then use that and put that everywhere. And the call to action is just to book a call, all right? So build me that website, please. And then after you build that website, what I want you to do is give me that link, the here now deployed link inside here so I can check. Awesome. So I'm going to let this go. Okay, so it says goal set, 20 turn budget. I want you to build me a website, and it got its thing. And you can see, because it's typing, it's going to be working right now. All right, so it just told me it's done. It created the full Hermes workforce website, deployed it here. Built it as a premium animated landing page, all this stuff for visual direction. I made it feel very clean, modern. Here is the flow. It told me all it did. Make thing is premium. Okay, let's look at it. So, okay, this looks really cool. Wow. You see how it did this in one shot? It's basically an animated background. It was saying how in the response, how it made the content with Higgsfield and also used Firecrawl to scrape things and is now hosting this in here.now. So it's really cool. You can see it made this little graphic. It's like moving Hermes hired, shipped these, your brand's content on Autopilot. It even wrote the copy. I didn't do any of the stuff, right? Hire Hermes as a content employee. It writes, design, films, clips you post. So you get more leads while your team stays focused. Okay, this is really cool. One employee, the whole content stack. So we're going to be building this as well as we go. Oh, look at this. It's like moving a little bit as we go. It generates these other images. So it's like clipping your videos. It writes and builds ads that are ready to run. Okay, this is awesome. An extra employee on your team works with your team, not around it, because it has the Slack, keeps everyone in check, runs 24/7. Okay, this is really cool. And you can see the book a call buttons everywhere. And it can see the content agent, operations agent, ad creative. Wow, it did a much better job than I thought, honestly, on the first go. Hermes is fantastic, but I love how it built all these graphics. If I go to my Higgsfield, actually. Okay, so in my images, you can see these are all the images it just generated and then put them on. And then in my videos, I should be able to see the same thing. So here, I guess it generated some audio as well. So this is the thing it made for this one. Awesome. So it's that easy to make really beautiful websites with Hermes Agent, right? Remember, we covered a couple different things, and make sure you have those skills installed so it can do a really good job at being aesthetically pleasing. Like make sure you have Higgsfield and make sure you have here now so you can deploy it. And you can notice how like it just gave us a link, and it gave us a link because it could just deploy it to our here.now app and also host all that over there. All right. So build to, very simple. Because we use this new concept of /goal, all right? Make sure to use this and keep this in your arsenal, because Hermes with /goal is super powerful after you give it the right skills and you understand these concepts. Awesome. So with that, let's move on to build 3. All right, so with build number 3, I'm going to show you how you can actually monetize the skills and Hermes agent we just built, right? And it's actually crazy. This is how good of an offer this one is. And remember, we went through a lot of stuff. Now our Hermes can generate videos, it can generate photos, it has access to Firecrawl, so it can scrape a lot of things, and it can keep going and review itself, right? So with that,
the offer I want to teach you about is basically in real estate, you'll see there's going to be a lot of listings all the time, right? And normally the photos are not very desirable. I'll give you an example. So this is a listing I found, and we can, use our talents and our Hermes agent to spice this up. So look at these photos. They're good, but there's a lot to be desired. I can't really feel myself living here or anything, right? So what you can do is now, with the help of AI, we can generate a whole marketing kit for different real estate properties, right? You'll see how this offer is so cool. So I'll give you an example. So a lot of apartments only give you their floor plan, right? You can't really understand anything, but if you make that into literally a design like this, you can really envision what's happening, how you can literally like go in and then you can see what everything is happening, where the bathroom and all these rooms are. And also what you can do is you can generate pictures of the rooms. So now you can be like, oh, okay, the person can like experience and feel like they're inside. And just to get a bit more in depth, I already went out and generated these for you. So this is basically these images we just saw, right? So all these images, I'm showing you how you can get Hermes agent to notice this. So for this one, there's just barren land right here. And now we can show that, it'll look so much nicer with all of this stuff. And honestly, it would feel a lot better to the tenant, and they would potentially buy more. And we have more. You can see right here, this is just an empty space. But if we can put this stuff, basically Hermes is being our designer, and Hermes is going there and helping us sell this more. And here's a couple more examples of, you could see all this table can fit here. Like, what do you even do with the space, right? And another one, like this is, I think the biggest one to me, is wherever there's like a room, you can just see barren empty space and you can't really envision everything. But when you actually put things inside there, you're like, oh, okay, I can understand now. Now, imagine you take this and then you send it to this realtor. He would probably love it, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that and a lot more. And this offer, you can sell around, let's say 200, depending on how big the listing is, you can sell it from 250 to 1,000 per listing. And basically you can get Hermes to basically, have a self-running loop, and it can find new properties. It can build all the stuff and send them on autopilot. So I'm going to show you how to do all of that, and it's super simple. Okay. All right. And to do that is super simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, what I want you to do is go find, let's say, properties in New York, and inside those apartments, I want you to generate basically property marketing kits. Okay. And how I want you to do that is by using the skill. And inside my Cloud Club, in the skills vault, I actually have the skill. It's called Property Marketing Kit. I'll open it up just to show you. And in this Property Marketing Kit, it's basically a Cloud Code skill that helps you build all of that stuff, right? So I'm going to go back. I'm going to paste this, and I'm going to be like, make sure you install this skill in both Multica and Hermes, and use that to essentially build a marketing kit for a property. And to keep things fast for you guys, I'm just going to give it this one. So here's an example property. So build out a property marketing kit for this, please. But I also want you to generate a list of other properties. Use Firecrawl to scrape those properties that I can potentially find and send these emails to. Basically, I can build the kits and send it to the realtors. So what I want you to do is make sure you find the email address for the company that's hosting it, or phone number, and also the property link. Okay, so get that back to me, please. And then I want to make sure this is a goal, because this is going to take a while. All right, let's go. Okay, I'll let it get done. And while this is going, and I'll come back once this is good. Okay, now check this out. So it just responded back to me and just said, I finished building out the property marketing kit as an example. And it opened up this thing in my Finder. Right here, you can see it has all these source photos. This is all the stuff we just saw. I wish I could make this bigger. This is all the stuff we just saw. And then it also has some photos of me showing it around. I guess it tried to use my Higgsfield thing, although I didn't ask it. Oh yeah, it's in the skill. But let's try and open these out and test it out.
All right, this is the bedroom. Simple, bright, and that window, that's the favorite part. Okay, don't judge me. The windows are the whole reason I took it. And yeah, the kitchen's tiny, but it's mine. Okay, this is the kitchen. Not fancy, but it just works.
Okay, it doesn't look very much like me, but I probably just have to train a bit more. But you see how it kind of built all the stuff, and I see it used it, and I see it did it for another property as well. It's Clearwater Beachfront, and that one also has a bunch of like host photos, and it also has a website. So let's check that out. Wow. I love the vignette and all these little things it's added. It's very nice. So you can like send these to whoever you're trying to sell very easily, right? And you can see, if I go back to my Telegram, it says, hey, here's some other properties that I pulled with Firecrawl. And right here, it has their number and their rent hop, all the stuff. So let's check this out. Oops, I don't want to do that. Right now, let's check out this property if it's actually good enough. Oh, you see these people actually do have the 3D space, but this, they can potentially do something here to show it off. You know, just making sure there's $6,000 almost a month property sells a little easier, right? And you know, it literally is saying, would you like me to generate a full marketing kit for all these listing next and start sending to these contacts? It literally found out all the contacts, and you can just have this going on autopilot. And if I go back to my Multica, so here in the project, we should, there we go. We can see the Hermes 24/7 AI workforce website. This is the thing we built a premium animated front end, all this stuff. And also the New York City property marketing kit. Awesome. So it just, oh, that's really cool. It even queued up the different things it may have to make. I didn't tell it to do that, so I don't waste all my credits, but that's really cool. You can see how you can just set this on autopilot. And I guess that's why it's called autopilot. And you can make a skill here where every day it can find new properties, it can make new kits, and then send them these emails and make the offer, hey, can I make more for you? Would you pay me? So that's the bill 3. It's super lucrative if you can do this right, because you literally have an engine that's going on autopilot that's potentially making you money, right? Awesome. So with that, let's get into build 4, because now I'm going to be showing you how to build an end-to-end content agent that you can use to post on socials and grow your organic audience. And that'll basically help you in whatever realm you are, get more customers, and essentially build a personal brand so you can sell whatever you want, and you can build a lot of income with it. All right, so we just went over a lot of different things and how we can actually build an offer and sell it to realtors, right? But if you want to get clients for, let's say, any random business, there's really only a couple ways. Number one, it's if you post free content, and that can be inside platforms like Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, or YouTube, right? And all of these kind of go through the same process where you have to research a topic, you have to create the content around it, you have to post consistently, and then you attract leads. Okay. Or you can do something like, outreach, where you can send them a message or an email with something you've created for them. So like in the example or the build above, we built for their exact properties some marketing kits that they would potentially like. Then you book a call and then you win clients, right? And I'll take you more through this as we keep going, because you can do a lot of automated outreach at a personalized level with Hermes. And the third thing you can do is honestly just run paid ads. And running paid ads is, again, going to do a lot of research, making creatives. So that's creating their video, their pictures, etc. And then you optimize and scale the costs, right? And all of this is to get more clients. So
all of these kind of do the right thing. And then let's start with number one. So number one, we should make sure we make good quality content to scale our personal brand or our business brand to make sure we actually use it to make more money, right? And to do that, there's a lot of things you can do. And number one, I just want to show you this. Across every platform, this is the common core format. So in Instagram, there's like Reels, there's Carousels. In TikTok, there's also Reels and Carousels. In LinkedIn, you can also do Carousels. Oh my God, Carousels is everywhere. Maybe we'll start with this first. So you can see there's a lot of different types of content and format, and they kind of undergo the same workflow where we need to first research different trends, keywords, things my ICP or your client would potentially be educated by. Then you write the script in a specific format. Then you create film, and then you edit, and then you post, and then you analyze, right? So I'll be showing you how to do all of this stuff. And let's start with actually how you can use Hermes to make carousels for you on Autopilot and even post it for you, right? And, I think this is the best way to start is because, honestly, it's high reach. It works on every platform. It's easy to reproduce, and it's pretty scalable for Hermes to be doing, right? So this is the easiest one to do, and it's common across all the platforms. So let's get into that, and let me show you how we can actually make really high quality carousels at scale. Okay, so I'll show you a couple types of carousels. And the first one is just a simple one that looks pretty, plain. This is pretty high converting too. And it looks like a Twitter post. So let's say something new comes out. You can always make a carousel like that and post it on your Twitter, right? And you can see there's, and I'll show you some other ones too that are have a really nice design. So you can see it's really cool. It has these little graphics, etc. So I'll show you both of these and how to create them. Okay. And to create the Twitter one, it's really simple. I actually, in my Claude Club, made you a skill. And so inside here, there's a video if you want to know how to use it. But right here, if you copy this and then go to your, let's say, Hermes app, and then, hey, Fable 5 for Claude just came out. Can you create a carousel of about Fable 5 and what that means using this Instagram thread carousel skill? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste my headshot. I also pasted my headshot so you can use that. Great. So it was that simple. Honestly, most of the heavy lifting is done by this skill that I showed you. And after you have the skill, you should be able to make a lot of cool looking carousels. So just for a live result, let me show you how this looks after this is done. Awesome. So this just got done. And you can see it gave me a quick little preview of all the carousels. And oh, this is kind of cool if you guys didn't know this. Inside Artifacts, if your Hermes agent does generate something for you, you can see all of them will be all stored here. And you can see it made a bunch of different carousels, right? And you can get your Hermes agent to honestly just post these as well. And I'll show you how to do that. But first, what I want to show you, we can make this Twitter style. And this one's simple. And I like this one because it doesn't cost you to use an image model or a lot of tokens. This is purely mostly just code and a lot of research, and you're good to go, right? So the biggest thing we put work into here is about the writing and the image model. So you can see how it formats a lot of stuff in a really nice way. Okay, so now that we can create carousels like this, let me show you how we can actually create carousels like this one as well. So let's say there is some random style you like. It doesn't have to be specifically this one, but let's say you do like this one. I personally really like this style. What you can do is, again, right here, I also have this Pixel Pal carousel style. If you download this and then give it to your Hermes bot, it should be able to create these kind of carousels as well, right? And I'll show you. So what you want to do is download this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this in here. And then all I'm going to say is, hey, can you use this pixel style skill? Download this into yourself and then create a carousel about, I don't know, Sonnet 5 maybe. Oh, I mean Fable. Coming back. And I want you to use Higgsfield if you need to generate any images. So remember that we set it up a while back. Okay, so remember how we made sure we have connected Higgsfield? It just gives us a lot more ability and flexibility to do a lot of creative work. So I'll let this load and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so it just got done and opened these up. And you can see this is actually pretty nice. I love the style, honestly. So this is really cool. Yeah, and then it becomes really easy to post these, right? So what I want you to understand is you can take any picture, you can just insert it into Hermes, and what you can do is, let's say you like that style and you want to develop that style. After you have the MCPs installed, you can just be like, hey, can you make a skill in that style? And then Hermes with Higgsfield will create that style of carousel, and then you can be like, use that skill to generate me a carousel. And it doesn't matter what style it is, you can just screenshot it and give them the inspiration, and then Hermes will be able to create any styled carousel based on what you want. All right, so this is the easy part. So now we just know how to create carousels, and remember what you can do is, now that Hermes can create carousels, and you can put this on autopilot. So you can be like, hey, do this every day. This is looking weird. So what I'm trying to say is, what you can do is you can put this on a cron job or even in Multica. So hopefully this is still in. So hopefully in Multica. If I see in my project, you could see this is the Fable 5 carousel campaign. You can put this on an autopilot and it'll be running every day, right? So you can be generating content every day, and Hermes will be the one that's doing the research, writing it. All you would have to do is approve. Now, let me show you, if you want to also post this on autopilot, what you can do, right? And to post these on autopilot, there's two things you can do. And number one is the easiest one, since you're already authenticated with Composio. You can go and find Instagram. You can connect your Instagram account right here. Boom. Awesome. And if you have other stuff like TikTok, I don't know, Facebook, YouTube, all of the social medias here, right? And the other thing, this is the one I like doing, is I use Blotato. And the reason I use Blotato is because I like looking at this calendar style when my posts are getting scheduled. And these are all AI generated posts, right? So right here, there's two ways you can do that. And honestly, it's the same thing as getting Hermes to do a cron job. After it's done, you approve it and you're like, post this, and it creates this calendar for you. But it's really easy to set this up. So Composio, you should already be connected. But for this one, you go to API, and then all you say is you copy this, and then let's go back to Hermes, and then say, hey, can you help me authenticate with my Blotato MCP? And what Blotato is really, it's just one place that, it has Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, all these all these different APIs. It has access to it, right? So your Hermes, it just becomes a lot more efficient if it's talking to one thing and then posting across all these social medias at the same time. And it makes it a lot easier for you, because it has a lot of the things like the calendar already done, published posts, somewhere to store the videos, all these things, right? So you always need some media storage. So all of that stuff is taken care of. So I enjoy using this one. But let me see if my Hermes is done. All right, quick thing. I just realized with Blotato, the OAuth doesn't work. So what you want to do is just scroll down and then hit this thing, copy MCP config. And what you do is you paste it, and then it should work after that. Great. So it seems like it's connected. Now I could say something like, hey, can you post my latest carousel to Instagram? And it should be able to do that. And you can say some stuff like, schedule one carousel every day, something like that. And it will go out, and then it will essentially create a content calendar like this for you.
So every day it posts, or every week you can know where to post what. So you can see I have it posting across all my socials, and it makes it really easy for me to manage by looking at this calendar. Okay, so I want to teach you about this concept, and it's called the content octopus, right? So when we're making content and we're trying to build a brand and make a business bigger and get leads, essentially, this is the way I found that it is the best way to get a lot of content in the easiest way, right? It's the highest leverage form, because if you can just make one long form piece of content like a YouTube video, you can always make that into different clips. You can make that into different reels. Like you can have like some copy in some part of the video. You can make it into articles, tweets, community posts, carousels, a lot of that, right? So let me just dig in right here with this graphic. So you can see, basically, we're going to be building this repurpose system, right? And this repurpose system helps you build all of this stuff. And this is something that if you build, you can take it and sell it, or even use it for yourself really, really easily, right? So I'll show you how that works. And this is probably my number one highest leverage thing and system I have, and what Hermes does for me without me having to do anything, right? So let me show you how to do that. All right, and to use this is really simple. For the input, all we're going to need is the YouTube video and the skill, okay? And for the output, we're going to get out all of these. So let me show you how that's done. So right here, this is my YouTube channel, and let me just take a random video. So let me take this one, okay? So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to go back to Hermes, and I'm going to paste this here. And then I am going to go back to my Skool community. Okay, in my Skool community, in the classroom, you can see I have this content repurpose skill. So I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to go back here, and I'll paste this here. Okay. Hey, I just gave you a skill. I want you to download and install that skill, and after that, use that skill to make me a dashboard of the content repurpose system, so I can use all those and then make my content a lot easier. Basically, activate the system on this. Okay, so let me let this load, and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so it looks like it's done. We can see it just said ran this through the entire workflow. And first it's saying it made me a couple clips in this folder right here. So, see, these are the clips. Let me see this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give it this link to my skill. Then all I'm going, I'm bad. Okay, so you get the gist. So there's a bunch of stuff right here. And then you can see it also made all these things, full systems. So you can see this is really cool. So this is my favorite part of this, right? And we're going to be going over this much later. And this is the YouTube video if you're curious. Anyways, so you can see it made a couple of shorts. It made tweets. So it made a long form blog. It made 8 tweets, some LinkedIn, and let me take you through all of these. So first of all is the Skool guide. So I can just paste this and to my email list, blast it out so I can get a bit more views, and it makes it really easy. And you can see the copy doesn't have AI slop. It's pretty good, etc. That's what the skill does. And then there's a LinkedIn lead magnet that I've made. There is a LinkedIn post. There is a couple X threads that it's made. This is really good. And also this is what we're going to get into next. It also made some short form clips, you see? So this is different because what it does is right now, basically, it makes me refilm some parts with a new hook, and so I can reuse that video and then make even more reels out of it, you know? So you can see it made this caption for me. It also made a script. So I'm going to be filming this, and we're going to be using our Hermes agent to edit this as well. All right, I'll show you how to do all of that. And then, so this is a bunch of stuff. It made a long form blog for SEO. Yeah, so it made a bunch of stuff, even the long articles. You can see these long articles. Again, also void of AI slop, you can see, because I put it through a loop and it makes all these. But it essentially goes through the entire thing. It makes these articles and all these different repurposing systems. So I can get a lot more views in my YouTube video and also get a lot more content done. So it serves people across different social medias, and I get to basically grow everything at the same time, right? So this is a high leverage play, and that's that easy to build. And make sure if you're doing this, you also have it connected to Higgsfield, because it's going to be generating a lot of pictures, and when it's doing all this clipping, it's using that as well. All right. Okay. So now with that done, what I'm going to show you is what we're going to do is I will go out and I will film one of these. Where's the reels? I will film one of these short form reels, and then we'll take it and then we'll actually edit it with Hermes. All right. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay. So I'm going to show you that I'm just filmed this clip 3 that it gave me. If you want to put yourself in AI videos, upload yourself, all the stuff, and I'll show you what that looks like, right? And it's just a raw clip. You'll see. If you if you want to put yourself into AI videos, start by creating a Higgsfield soul. First, upload a reference picture of yourself, then ask Claude to create a soul. Then ask Claude to create a soul and name it something simple. Now future generations can simply refer to your Higgsfield soul, rather than you having to describe your face every time. And you can make stuff like this. Okay, so you see there's a couple different things there, right? Number one, I had to do a lot of retakes because I forgot what I'm supposed to be saying. And then at the end, I told it, hey, here's what I'm going to be showing, right? A lot of little things it has to do. So how does this kind of work? Okay, so how does video editing with AI work, right? And it happens in 2 phases. So first, what we do is we put the clip through, and then we cut out all the bad takes, the ums, ahs, pause, all this stuff. And then number 2, in the second pass, we're going to add all the B-roll, like from my video, all of that into one final polished video. Okay. So for that, actually, I have 2 skills. So first one is first pass to cut out the bad takes. So what we want to do is right here, take this and then go to Hermes agent. And then let me make a new session. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the skill. And then what we want to make sure, what we do is we also do the second pass, right? In the same way, because Hermes can do that with /goal. So skill to add motion graphics. Again, this is for the B-roll finder. So let's say I have a recording, and then agent will find the B-roll, and then it will edit that in and make the final cut. Okay, so I'll take this, and then I'll go back to Hermes, and then I'll put this in. Okay, and then let me link the file. So I need to link this file. So this is the file that I just talked through. So right here, I'll drag that in, and then, all right, so what I want you to do is edit this reel. I have a lot of bad cuts. Make sure it goes through make a goal that you will give me the final outputted video. So the first pass, I want you to go through and use the cut video skill to cut out all the ums, ahs, bad takes, etc. After that is done, I want you to use the second skill to find B-roll and insert it in. Make sure I am in the bottom and maybe the B-roll is on the top so it looks a little nicer. And then at the end, I tell you to insert and find and attach some clip of me from the video. So I'll attach the YouTube video as well. So take the clip of me from there and then make sure you edit that in. And again, it was this video. So I'm going to go back to my Hermes. I'll paste that in as the third link. And then I will go. And then this is going to take a while, so I'll be back. Okay, so this is just going on its own and doing its thing. All right, so it got done. And you can see I did exactly what you asked. Cut 1 and then cut 2. So let me find this video. Okay, so just for your reference, this is the raw source. This is the clip 1, where, you know, I start off with like this. If you, and then this one, it's got edited, so you can take a look at this. If you want to put yourself into AI videos, start by creating a Higgsfield soul. First, upload a reference picture of yourself, then ask Claude to create a soul and name it something simple. Now, future generations can simply refer to your Higgsfield soul rather than you having to describe your face every time. And you can make stuff like this. Oh, this is cool. So this is literally taken out from my video. So see, that's so cool. It took this video, it cut out all my random mistakes and whatnot, and then it even added some. If you want to put some captions right here, and you know, there's still some. It's still a little rougher on the edges, like you see, like these black bars and stuff like that. But I'm sure as we, just do one more pass through it, I think it will be pretty much good to go. But this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. It's after you have these skills developed, you can do so many things. And you can see, like, I'm just going to my project, and you can see in the real editing. So let's say you want to just film a bunch of them and get a lot of them published. You can see right now, it's in review. So this reel is in review. This is the one we talked about. And right here, went through all of this stuff as requested, and I have one place to track everything that's happening and even all my content, right? Remember, we just did a lot of stuff with our content. If you think about it, with this system, we took one YouTube video and then we made it into clips. We made it into other clips. We've also edited those clips. We've made Instagram Reels. We've made carousels. We've made articles. We've made tweets, and then even posts. So you can see with AI how it becomes super easy to scale your content. And if you can do that, you can obviously just reach more people and attract way more clients. So this is one of the most powerful builds I can say that I've made. And I highly encourage you to try this out. And if you try this out or need any help, I'll be in Claude Club below to help you. But this is one of my favorite builds, and I think this is one of the most highest leverage you can do that you can even sell to others, right? But with that, let me show you how to take this one step further. So let's say you don't do talking heads or videos like me, and you have a product like, I don't know, let's say this thing that you want to advertise for. I'll show you how you can make ads for that as well. And it comes down with the same amount of skills we gave it. All right, so in this build, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to take a picture of this, and then I'm going to make some ads for it, right? With myself in it. Because remember, we just made that Higgsfield soul, so I can be putting myself inside a lot of different ads. So what I'm going to do is take a picture of that thing, and then I have a skill that's going to look up my competitor ads and make really high converting ads that will scale, right? Okay, the build is also really, really simple and straightforward. Again, you come here, you take the skill, right? You come to Hermes, let's go to a new session, and then I'm going to paste this in, and I'm going to say, hey, what I want you to do is download the skill, and for this product photo that I'm going to give you, what I want you to do is essentially create some image and video ads. Make sure the video ads have me in them. I have a Higgsfield soul that you can refer to, and use that soul to put me in the videos and make these ads. All right, come up with them, go through all the creative process, and use the skill to actually come up with all the different creatives. Okay, now I need to attach a reference image of this thing. Where is that? Okay, I'm gonna drop it in here. And if you guys want to look at it, it's this thing right here. Anyways, I'll let this work, and then I'll show you all the things that are created. Okay, so it looks like it's done. So it cloned this ecom skill, did all this stuff, opened up this folder, and made all these things. So let me just see if I can just open all these together.
Wait, that is still...
Okay, so I guess this is the video.
Wait, that is still ice cold. Yes.
Pretty good. This is the old one. And then that's a video it made. And then here is some ads. So you can see it put the woman in. It looks pretty realistic. Same things in here. Matches everything, especially you. Pick your pink. I love the copy it made. And you can see it's now showing the benefit-driven copy. This is actually beautiful ads, right? And this one's kind of funny, emotional support, right? So, and this one kind of shows the contrast between the SIP and all these things and how colorful. It's nice. And this is just my reference photo. Cool. So, you can always do this, and then you can set a cron job to make you new ads on Autopilot. And then if you connect it to the meta ads MCP, you can literally keep running them and seeing which ones work. In this way, you can basically make hundreds of ads a day. Your Hermes can be managing your entire thing, and it becomes super easy because you could see everything. And even you could see in Multica, if I go to the projects, there should be like a pink drink ads. I can see that it created all these different things, right? So again, another very easy way to make content, and it's the same thing using the same skills. Cool. Now that we have that done, let's get into something a little different, because I want to show you, let's say you are making these ads and all these creatives and you're getting a bunch of clients, right? Now, we probably want to have customer support and manage all those clients. So let me show you how I do that. And just to keep showing you a sneak peek, here's, for example, I have my Hermes agent inside my Skool community, and it makes things for people. It gives them cool prompts and even makes them nice little dashboards that you can share and see stuff in, right? There's a lot of stuff that I can do with this. It answers people's questions. You can see it's like literally one of the start commenters where it's actually just answering somebody's question, which is really cool. And it goes out and does all these things. And what I can also do, and I have another bot that's also posting stuff like trade alerts. And this is really cool to see because I can get my bots inside my community, and they can really help me out in either moderating, answering people's questions, and just keeping a tab of things, because then I can just ask, hey, what's the sentiment of everyone here? And it will give it to me, right? So let me show you how to build that, and it's super simple. All right, now let's say with doing all that content, maybe you make a community or a Skool or a Discord or whatever it happens, right? You need a way to manage your customers. Well, I manage mine in Skool, and that's why I made that bot. And the way I made that bot is really simple, right? People ask for things in Skool. My assistant helps. It's normally faster than I am, but I come in as well. And then basically everyone just gets faster help and a bit more detail in their answer, right? Now, how you do that is basically step one, you make a dedicated Skool account or whatever your platform is for your bot. Then we're going to give it the credentials and set what it should do, right? So if it needs to check in daily, if it needs to learn from everyone, answer, and basically we want to set up the cron jobs. So every day it's checking in a lot of times or a few times to see if everyone's question is handled and making sure it can do all the stuff, right? Essentially, our Hermes agent is going to check new posts and comments and understand and run as a 24/7 Copilot with us, right? And I'll show you how to do that. Super simple again. I have this prompt in the agent teams, which is kind of long. So I'll copy all of this, and all I need to do is go back to my Hermes agent, make a new thing, and then hit go. Okay, so I'll let this work and I'll come back. All right, it's telling me it's done, but before going to this, I just wanted to show you more of this prompt. So basically what I did, this prompt just shows that, hey, build me the Skool manager agent. And then what you want to do is make sure you make an account, which is not your account, and then give it that credentials. Then you tell it its job and what to do. And basically, this is what I do. I make a cron job to create my morning check, a midday reply sweep, and an evening community summary, right? And then every week, it's going to learn some stuff from the community, what people have asked and all this stuff, and then it'll give me a report at the end, right? Basically, I set some rules, some example behavior, and all of this should be up and running, all right? So, and then after that, you could see in my Multica, in the project, you'll see the cat assistant Skool manager is ready, right? And there, if you just want, you can just be like, hey, set up some recurring cron jobs. And basically after, let's say it's 9 a.m., 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., it's going to check your community each time. And if you want more, that's fine too. It's up to you on what you want to configure or how many times you wanted to check. But also, you can set it up with an email address such that whenever someone sends an email for an inquiry or anything, you can also set that up. So let me show you how to set that. And that's done through this thing called Agent Mail. So agentmail.to, this is really cool. All you need to do is just log in, and then what you want to do is you want to create an inbox for your agent, right? So what you want to do is you want to come here, and then let's say you create an inbox. So you say test cat, I don't know. Let's say test Hermes, right? And then you can choose any domain you want. You can add your domain here, and you can call it, I don't know, Zach, let's say. And then you can create an inbox. Test Hermes 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, so after this is created, then what you want to do is you want to get an API key. So you create an API key, test Hermes, and then you can create that API key. And then what's really easy is if you just, right here, you copy this, right? And then you can go back to your Hermes. Let's start a new session and then give it access to this. And then also its keys and stuff, and be like, hey, this is your inbox. Can you onboard to it? And then maybe send me an email as a test. My email is samin@aianswer.us. Okay, so let me wait for this to done, and I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, it got done. I just wanted to hide all my email, but you can see this is from Zach, test Hermes 1, 2, 3. Hey Samin, good news. I have my own email address now. If you ever need anything done, you can email me here or forward me something you want me to take care of. I can help review, summarize, draft, organize, follow up, or turn things into tasks. Very excited to finally have an inbox, Hermes. Okay, I love that. And then you can see in the inboxes, you can see the things it sent me as well, right? Super simple. Now my Hermes has also an email address. So if you want your customers to be emailing you and you handle support that way, that easy to create an email address. And then you can also see this in your Multica, whatever support tickets it handles, it can tell you there, all right? Really cool use case. Now let's actually get into some of the fun stuff. Okay, now I want to show you how to build a self-improving trading bot. And this is something big. Hermes is an excellent self-improving trading bot because of its self-improvement loop, right? You can literally teach tasks and your algorithm over time to Hermes. Let's say there's a stock going like this, and you always, buy here, sell here, and then buy here, and then do that over and over. You can tell Hermes that, and it can detect and learn that pattern. And if it's going up or down, it should also be able to detect and do your thing by reading your past trades, right? So Hermes, basically, it learns over time, and its knowledge grows, and it keeps getting better and better, right? Which means the compound effect makes your bot better over time, right? And to build a trading bot with Hermes, there's 3 steps. So step 1 is basically making sure you give it access to a programmatic trading platform, right? And we're going to be using co-invest, and I'll show you how to set that up. It's really simple. All you have to do is go to coinvest.ai, and then right here, you want to make sure you log in, and it's free to make an account. Then right here, you can see it says co-invest, and the nice part about co-invest is you can do a lot of stuff. You can buy stocks, you can buy crypto, you can buy Forex, you can literally predict on the World Cup, which is kind of cool. So everything is in here in one platform and lets you trade agentically, right? So then what you want to do is just hit start on Claude, and then copy this, and then let's go back to, actually this time, what we want to do is actually use our Telegram or something like that, right? And the reason being is because we want to probably text our bot here and there. So let's go to this trading thing, and then I'm going to paste this here and then say, can you help me connect to this? This is the OAuth for trading. This is the OAuth for co-invest. Help me connect the MCP here. And remember, this is the old Telegram chat we set up with multiple channels. And the reason I like doing this in Telegram is because I like being nimble if I'm trading or I'm seeing alerts or it's telling me to do stuff. So let me connect with this and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so it opened up this window and I'm just going to hit connect to co-invest. All right, so this should be good to go. And I made sure to enable paper trading on this. And now I can say something like, hey, what's in my portfolio right now? Okay, so it got connected and I just asked, hey, what's in my portfolio right now? Again, this is paper trading, so it's not real, but it says here's a mock portfolio example with the mix you asked, and you can see all of this stuff because you can trade stocks, crypto, gold, all these things, right? And you can see, etc. And now what I asked is, can you make an HTML dashboard and put it on here.now? The reason I did that is because that's the exact thing I told my actual bot right here in my trading bot. Every time it responds to me and does something, I want it to build a dashboard and give me that, right, in here.now. And this is what it looks like. So that's how you should do that. And now let's get into the more important parts, right? Let's actually get into strategy, because strategy is one of the most important parts about trading. And I want to show you this. So one of the biggest important things about strategy is this. Check this out. So these are sitting US politicians. And you can see that this is Elizabeth Warren. She has a net worth of 67 million at a salary at 285K, right? That would take 225 years to get if you saved all of your salary. So she obviously got there because she's been making moves with some information that she has that most people don't, right? And it's the same as others, as Nancy Pelosi. You can see she's outperformed the stock market by a massive margin, right? And this is why, to rely on any strategy, I like to use this service called Quiver Quant. Okay, so this is my Quiver Quant account, and right here you can see all the congressional trading of who made what trades, right? And my favorite place to go is going to the strategies folder. And in the strategies folder, you can see a lot of people's strategies, right? It doesn't only have to be politicians like these. It can also be people like Michael Burry or I don't know, maybe Bill Gates or Bill Ackman are in here. So it tracks everyone's trades, right? And you can filter it by 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, all these things. Okay, but what I do like about this, and I've been using this a lot, is the fact that there is some strategies where we can see if we followed this for the last 3 months, we would have had a 57.8 return, right? And this makes it so that it's a lot easier for us to trade because they're doing most of the hedge fund level stuff for us, right? And honestly, I've been tracking this over time and it holds up pretty well. And you can see if we want these kind of differentials, we can just copy trade these strategies. Okay, now comes to the cool part. For us, so we can copy trade these strategies, what we can do is we can use Quiver Quant's API. So if you choose this and then copy this token, I'm not going to show you mine, and then go to MCP servers, you copy this, right? And then let's go to Telegram. Let me go back. And then right here, I'm going to say, hey, can you connect my Quiver Quant MCP with my Hermes agent? And then make sure to just put in your API key. And after you're connected, then what you can do, so I'll do this. So, okay, I'm going to do this and then I'll make my thing smaller so it's not super apparent. Okay, so I just hit my top message, but because it has my Quiver Quant API key, but I just said, hey, I hooked up Quiver Quant MCP in the API so I can pull real data on congressional trades, politicians' infos, and all this stuff. I can copy trade these politicians if you like for you. For example, I can follow people like Nancy Pelosi or other senators in the House. I can also copy trade these strategies. Quiver Quant has these built-in strategies like Congress buy, etc. If you want, I can set up a job so I can do that continuously. See, it makes it so easy to do this stuff. And I can also do deeper research like finding the most active politicians in biotech, all this stuff, and tell me what to do. and I'll run it in the background. Okay, so now let's say, let's go back to QuiverQuant, and let's say we want to copy. Let's go back to strategies. Go back to strategy. Let's say Tim Moore, because all time he has a good one, but the last 3 months, let's see. Yeah, Tim Moore seems like he's doing pretty well based off his seat. Okay, for the next couple months, set up a paper trading account, and I want you to copy the trades of Tim Moore. I'll see how it does. I want you to see what you do. Maybe siphon off $10,000 in that portfolio, and let's see what happens. What I want you to do is every week make a here.now dashboard and give me an update. So make me a here.now dashboard now, just so we're starting it off. And I have all the data on what's happening right now. And then make sure you write that we're copy trading Tim Moore, we have a balance, and we're starting with $10,000. And we're going to go ahead and make any trades when he's making the trade. It's okay if there is a time differential, but make sure you set up a cron job every day during trading hours to check QuiverQuant to make sure it has all the updates, and then every week, Friday, give me an update. Make all those cron jobs, and inside Multica, also make the autopilot so I can track it and the project. Okay, so the dashboard is live, and let's see what it did. It set up a paper trading portfolio with 10K. It's copy trading Tim Moore via QuiverQuant MCP, and it has a daily poll and a cron. And every Friday, it's going to make me a dashboard in the here.now page. All trades are going to be mirrored with 1 to 3 days disclosure lag. And the dashboard currently shows where it's starting. Let's look at the dashboard. Cool. Okay. I can see it. This guy is up a lot, so hopefully we can catch up. But let's see. This is some cool experiments we can be doing, and it's pretty fun. Because it's really cool because we can actually be trading with co-invest. We can see what's going on, and we're going to be using co-invest to make sure everything is good to go and we can execute the trades. And if we want to do it with real money, we can switch it on like that, right? So this is how you build a trading bot with Hermes, and it was so simple because you just need these two services where you need a broker, which is essentially co-invest, and then you need a strategy. And I use QuiverQuant, and then, you hook your Hermes up to both of these, and then, it has a mind of its own to do the cron jobs, and that is your trading bot. And you can do this based off technical analysis, whatever you need to, but I thought this was a really cool build because it's super useful for people to get started. Okay, so this build is probably one of my favorites because what it actually means to me is that now I used to have problems like I used to wake up sneezing, and now I wake up energized. I have a lot more energy, and it's because I use Hermes to optimize my health, and this is how I do it. Why I did this is because knowing what to do was never really the problem. Doing it every day and getting consistent was really tough, right? So what I did was I got a full blood panel done. And, there were some markers that were good and then some markers out of range, kind of like this one. So this is like an example. And you can see there's like a million different things that I've been, they put in my report, right? But the nice part is from that, I gave it to my Hermes agent and it gave me a list of supplements. So actually, I have some of these right here. And, this health data initially was very scattered. Like the blood work was in a PDF, my sleep data was in my 8 sleep, and my Whoop and my workouts were in my head, right? So what I wanted was one system that remembers everything and follows up without me having to open an app. And that's what Hermes kind of became for me. So, and this was done with 3 easy moves, right? First, I fed it my blood work, so it knew my biology. Then I talked through a protocol, so it gave me my supplement stack and things I should be taking. And then became the easy part. It just made its own cron jobs. So every day it reminded me, hey, have you worked out? Have you taken XYZ supplements? And I just voice noted to it. And it becomes really easy for me to keep track. And my Hermes bothers me and chases me if I don't do something, right? So the system end to end is basically this. I gave it my blood tests and I use voice memos, and my 8 sleep basically tells me how I sleep and gives me some reports. Let me show you an example. So here's an example. You can see it says my last sleep score was 95. I slept for 8 hours and 38 minutes. And all of this stuff gets beamed to my Hermes agent, and it knows even how I sleep, everything, right? And then it basically checks in on me for my workouts, my breaks, etc. From that random PDF I have a really good plan to follow and an accountability partner in my Hermes agent to essentially make sure I'm at my optimal peak health, right? And again, just on autopilot, this happens. So first it checks, hey, did you take your stack? And then it checks in later if I've worked out or not. Then if I'm just working away, like kind of I've been filming for the last 10 hours, it just says, hey, maybe step away if it detects my screen time going up and up. And at the end, 8 sleep, it does this. And then at night, it asks, hey, what are my next 3 priorities for tomorrow? These are very simple cron jobs, but really helps me keep my day and keeps me motivated and keeps me going in a very clear way. So I recommend you set up something for yourself. And it's just done through voice memos and capture logs. And it logs it. It nudges if I'm missing something, and then I keep acting, and it makes it really easy for me. Okay, so now, if you want to set this up, here's the prompt. You might need the PDFs if you have for your blood work, etc. If you don't, that's fine too. But you can just paste this into your Hermes and it will set up all the cron jobs you need. I also have a bunch of skills in Cloud Club below, but make sure you use this and really take advantage of it, because honestly, this has been one of my favorite hacks, although it's so simple that it got me to not be as stuffy. Now I used to have this issue where I used to wake up sneezing every day, but now after doing this stuff, it's not there for me anymore. It used to be really hard for me to get out of bed, but now after doing the stuff, it's so much better, and I wake up feeling a lot more energized and I know exactly what to do. So again, just to reiterate, make sure your health, put it on the job for your Hermes agent to keep you on track. It's more so just think of it like an accountability buddy. And the fact that it's private and you own it is pretty nice that it's not getting out anywhere, right? So you feed your agent, make sure it's scheduled, and just talk to it, sending a voice memo. It's so easy. And again, I like the saying where the best health tracker is the one that tracks you back, right? So highly recommend you guys stick to this build, try it out, see what supplements you want to take. If you're curious what I take vitamin D, fish oil, some vitamin C, and creatine, and that's good enough for me. But, with that, let's move on to the next build. All right, so for this build, what I wanted to show you is this thing we have built inside our Cloud Club, and we call it Agent Club, right? And you can see, I'm set up another camera here so you can see all my screens. And you can see this is my primary screen, this is my secondary screen. And right here, we have this thing, and we built this because I got tired of having to chat with my Hermes from one place, and then my Codex from another, and then Claude from another, right? So we built one destination that I can manage all my chats and agents. So you can see right here. Okay, so that's one thing. But the nice part about it is I can also remote into it by scanning this QR code, or I also have an app on my phone, and I can connect it to all the channels like we were doing back before, right? Okay, so this has access to a lot of things, including Hermes. And now I want to show you the thing that's been most requested from me, and it's this thing called Jarvis mode. And Jarvis mode is pretty cool. What it does is I help it, start my day, plan my day, and I can talk to it as well if I'd like. Maybe I'll show you a demo. So it activates after I basically just say a keyword. And let's say I'm going to say the keyword now, and you can see it happen. What it can do is basically control my computer. It controls my computer. It opens stuff up, shows me, and then gives me like a whole rundown. And you can see on the left-hand side, it already has something. But let me try this out. Okay, good morning, Jarvis. What's my day looking like?
Good morning, sir. I've gone ahead and organised your calendar. At 9:30, we're starting with some deep work to finally finish up the Hermes Agent course. You've been taking way too long on that one. At 11, I'm pulling up your Skool community so you can respond to the people that asked questions overnight. At 1:15, you got new member intros and unanswered posts waiting on you. Quick heads up, you've got a friend's birthday at 7 tonight, so let's start wrapping the day around 5 instead of pushing later. Your main goal today is finishing the Hermes course. 3 steps left. 1. Make the tutorial on how to build Jarvis. 2. Show them how to use Hermes and Fable together. That's fresh, it just dropped. You should turn that into its own video too. 3. Send it to your editor. I've organised your calendar to roughly match when each of these should happen. One more thing, I've already started the scripts for your Fable YouTube video. They're sitting in your Multica project folder. And I've written the real scripts too, so you can start filming whenever you're ready. But for now, let's go ahead and get the Hermes course finished.
Okay, thanks, Jarvis. You can see I'm going to exit this right now, and it stopped glowing when it's started speaking this thing. But essentially, oh, actually, let me just go back. What I wanted to show you is right here, you can see it has my agenda and the top 3 things I should be doing. And also you can see, just because I activated it today, it gave me and showed me my calendar and, you know, it colored everything, organized everything, and told me to wrap up because I have my friend's birthday later that I have to commute to. But, you know, this is really cool. And what it's done, I also, you know, voice cloned Paul Bettany's voice and put it on my Jarvis just for fun. But I'll show you how to build this, and it's super fun. Let's get into it because there's a lot of moving pieces here, but it's really cool to use, and you can even take it and sell it to anyone if you'd like. All right. So now let me show you how I actually built my Jarvis command center, right? And remember, it is literally the same thing. It's my AI chief of staff on my Mac, but now the different things we've done to it is we've given it this really cool looking interface, and then it can just speak back to me in a cloned voice, and it can already read my calendar and has context on my life, right? So how do you build that? Well, it comes down into 5 ways how it works, right? Number 1 is the first things I've been teaching you about. It uses live context about me with Honcho. So remember, we set up early in the course how we set up the memory. So it knows what's important to me. It knows what I need to be doing. And because like how when I sleep, before I go to bed, I tell it my top 3 things, it surfaces those for me in my morning briefing, right? Okay, then what it does is I get it to automatically organize my calendar because it has Composio and my GCal MCP. So with that, it can do all of that. Then computer use. We set this up early on, and computer use is basically how I got my Hermes to basically open up different tabs and stuff in my computer, right? It basically has access to my Chrome and all my applications, so it can open it up and show me what it needs to show me, right? Then it's the voice, and the voice was done through this thing called 11 Labs. And if you don't want to use 11 Labs and you want to keep it local, you can use this thing called VoiceBox. But they're both driven through Hermes Voice. And Hermes Voice is already built in. You just have to give it your key and it'll handle the rest, right? Okay, and after you have all this stuff done, because this was the core of everything, what you can do is build the HUD. And I'll show you how I built the HUD. Okay, so how I built the interface is basically I took some screenshots of a vibe I liked. I put what's important to me right here, and I just asked it to do that. And then I got Claude Design to set the look. So I gave it the screenshot and I said, hey, design an interface for me. Then I got Fable to build it. And the way I got Fable to build it was really cool because I just used my Hermes as an orchestrator. So if I go back to my Multica, in my squads, remember how I showed you this before, that my Hermes is my leader. And what I can do is whenever I have to do a design project or something really, really intensive, I will hand it off to Claude. I'll be like, hey, use Claude to do this. And then right here, you can see it uses Fable on high mode to build and plan all of this stuff. And then it can use Codex for some of the orchestration work. Or sorry, on some of the coding work, right? So then what I basically had was my Jarvis was connected to Hermes, and it now just has a voice and its own computer that it can speak back and forth to me. But this was, this took a lot of time to build. I'm not saying this is trivial by any manner. So what I did for you guys was, if you do want something like this and you want to save your time from having to spend millions of tokens and debugging, I actually packaged it and put it inside my Skool community down below. The link's in the description. You don't have to use it, but if you just want it prepackaged, it's down there for you guys. But now, with that done, if you just want to save some time, grab it there. And we actually have a team inside the Skool that helps you set it up if you're brand new. But Right now, let me show you, you've just built a lot of different things. How can you take all these things and actually package it and potentially even sell it, right? All right, so we just covered a lot of different builds, and now I want to make sure that you can take any of these builds in this course and sell what you just built. But before that, I want to just make sure you watch this clip by Mark Cuban, where he has some really good stuff to say.
I've been through every single technology, event and evolution, and this blows them all away. Now, how you implement it in business is a whole different issue. Like literally when I was 24, I was walking into companies who had never seen a PC before in their lives and explaining to them the value, and having these guys going, well, son, I got this receptionist right there. I got that secretary. I'm never going to need that shit ever. Right. But then, my business then was helping them figure out how to implement it to give them an advantage.
Yep.
There are going to be integrators that, particularly young kids, like when I'm telling my kids who are 15, 18, 21 or 19, 21, and kids going to school, what should I do? What should I do? I'd be like,
AI research.
Learn all you can about AI, but learn more on how to implement them in companies, right? Because to your point, companies don't understand how to implement all that right now to get a competitive advantage. You got the head of Microsoft saying software is dead because everything's going to be customized to your unique utilization, right? Or usage. Who's going to do it for them? Particularly small to medium-sized businesses. There are 33 million companies in this country. 30 million of them are solopreneurs, right? Single-person enterprises. There are only, there are millions of companies that have 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, 500 people that aren't going to have AI budgets, aren't going to have AI experts. This is where kids getting hired coming out of college are really going to have a unique opportunity. If you're spending your senior year in college right now, your senior year in high school, even whatever it is, your excess time, and you're learning the difference between Sora and VO, and you're learning how to do all this video, you're learning how to customize a model so that then you can then walk into a company and say, I understand your business as a shoe company selling shoes at a retail store or selling shoes online. Let me show you how to benefit you.
Yeah.
That is every single job that's going to be available for kids coming out of school, because every single company needs that.
So you saw that clip and you can see how big of an opportunity this is, right? And because of that, let me just show you how you can take any of these offers and actually sell them. First of all, there's 3 questions before you can sell anything. And first, you need to decide on what can I sell? And everything you built in this course is a product. Just make sure you pick something that really aligns with you and the people around and the customers you're selling to. And then you have to answer, what do I charge? And how do you approach the people after you're done, right? So we'll be answering all these questions for each build. Just as a recap, we built a lot of things in this course, right? So we started off by building and installing Hermes and making that buddy system so things don't break. Then we connected it to all the channels. Then we made sure it had a personality with soul and identity, and even a memory that's shared over different agents and your own team, right? And this one would be super valuable, is the Multica mission control, where you can have an AI employee and it can work throughout someone's whole teams, right? And then after you make sure we connect that with Composio or any Google Workspace CLI, it can essentially act as its own entity. So that was the first level. Then we went into actually building some stuff that are agentic workflows. For example, we built a morning briefing agent, and then we started building websites, property marketing kits with images and videos, carousels, a content repurposing Octopus. We learned how to edit our videos and reels with Hermes. Then we even built out a lot of e-com ads and even a community manager if you needed that, and even a support assistant if you needed, right? And to get a bit more premium, we built a trading bot, a longevity coach, and even Jarvis and Agent Club, right? So we built a lot of stuff. I want to make sure you can take these and the levels at which the complexity of each avatar is, right? Okay, now with that being said, let's get into each one and how you can potentially approach everyone to sell and what pricing you can be doing. So the first one is just the very simple AI employee install. Not everyone understands this technology or wants to play around with it. You having this course, you have access to all of that, and you have my help in Cloud Club below. But you can very easily charge around $1,500 to set up a Hermes bot for someone that's non-technical, right? Make sure you can set it up on their VPS or their Mac Mini or a random computer, connect it to their channels, make sure it has memory and you can track its projects and connect it to Google. And then people will honestly, just with that simple approach, love this offer. And you can frame it as a 24/7 AI employee that already knows your business because it learns over time, live in 7 days. This is what you want to do. And you never touch the tech. This is what people want, or the setup is free. Okay? Then you can always charge a retainer if you want to improve it over time. Really simple. Now, you can evolve that into an executive assistant that runs stuff on Autopilot. And you do that by putting in Composio and connecting it to the MCPs and setting up all the cron jobs for your Hermes. Basically, then people can get those morning briefings on their phone. And a lot of this stuff, especially for busy founders, executives, or agency owners, anyone who starts their day with 1 million emails in their inbox would love, right? And especially if they're not technical, it would be super easy for them to sell it for $500. Okay. The gateway here is this is probably the cheapest yes in your lineup, right? So if you're brand new to this, I would potentially see people would 100%, if you can build it out for yourself and show others, they would give it a shot. Okay? Make sure you can demo your own thing on call with them, and then you can naturally upgrade them as we go to a full AI employee, which I'm going to show you how. Okay? And make sure it also runs on their machine or a VPS if you want. But how you can structure and actually approach them is because you know their pain, where they start every morning with a mess, but now you would know their day and basically make their schedules. They would pre-draft emails and make sure they're caught up in what their team's doing. Basically in their pocket at 8 a.m. or they don't pay. Always this risk guarantee helps because if you're starting out, it reduces the risk on the consumer, right? Okay, then if anyone really does need some stuff like this one I would say is more of a lead magnet where you can charge around $250 to $500 a pop for the animated websites. And remember, you can do this with the /goal command and very easily deploy it just to show people your capabilities that you can do really fast. Anyone with a bad website, you can say, hey, this is a premium animated website that sells your offer because the copy is also much better and live in 24 to 48 hours. And, if they want to make any changes to it, they can always message the Telegram bot and it'll make changes to the website instantly. That's a really cool offer that I've been seeing work really well. Okay, and here is where we got more real, where we can find a lot of listings in our URL, get our Firecrawl to scrape different realtors, and then we can make those staged Higgsfield because this is unlimited, all the property marketing kits, and then essentially email the agent each thing so they would be like, wow, this is cool. And very simply, you can make $250 per listing because normally agents will have a lot, right? Basically, remember, build the kit first and then send it for free. Don't ask anything. And then if they want one for every listing or go up a level to their brokerage and ask if everyone wants that, then you can obviously put it on autopilot with Multica, find new realtors and make these and keep sending it to them, right? Basically, what you're selling them is twice the interest on your listing in 7 days because of the much better photos, videos, etc. Awesome. And this is the ones I really like, is the content engine. And if I didn't have this, I would definitely pay for it, which you can start off with carousels on autopilot. And, it automatically researches trends, writes in their voice, it designs the carousel and schedules it through Blotato and posts it to all the platforms and drips it every day. This is probably one of the easiest things to be done. But, because I've showed you how you can take that screenshot, make branded ones, and then make on-brand content and post it automatically, people would love this because you can make sure that if they have zero social presence, they do have one, right? And you can also make it so that the client can approve it from their phone. And every week you can give them that, hey, I made you so much content that it just makes sense that you keep continuing, right? Because it is a lifeblood of a business to make content and get more leads. Okay, that leads us into our content repurpose system. Remember how we made one video into all these different things, which was my number one favorite thing. This one would be a high ticket system that you can sell for $1,000 to $3,000 a month for higher tier, let's say YouTubers or anyone with a business channel. Basically, your offer is that they film once a week and it shows up everywhere daily automatically. So from one piece of content, you become 30, and one video becomes, edited alone, and you can see all the new content in the first 72 hours before they even pay. I would recommend, if they already have a YouTube, you just do it for them and send it their way and see what they like, right? And then remember, we can also edit the reels. So if someone's taking or doing raw talking heads, we just cut out the ums and ahs, which is already a big time save. Then we put B-roll on top of it and even give it for review. And creators and founders would really love this because people really don't want to interact with editors and stuff like that. And it's a perfect bolt on to offer number 5 and 6. And this, costs you pennies and minutes per reel. And you can also fold this into the content Octopus and deliver this as well, right? Or you can just charge per reel because it becomes super easy to do. Basically, you say, hey, just film these scripts that my agent gives you, and then you'll get edited captioned reels in 24 hours, and you don't need editors, and your first one's free. And remember, after that, we use the same skills to build an e-com ad factory, and this one really people love because you're doing the computer ad research with the skills I gave you, and then you're building the image and videos, and then you can use the Facebook MCP to manage your ads. You don't need all the way through. The only thing people are really interested in is just fresh, new creatives. If you can just make that and give them to them, I'm sure you can make a really good offer, right? Then the community manager. Everyone needs to do customer support. Having a bot inside with an email or on Skool or Discord where Hermes just checks on a cron is super simple to build out that I showed you. And you can very easily charge, let's say 500, or even you can charge per resolved incident, right? And course creators or community owners would love this because they can really feel that pain. And I use it because, I hated doing that initially. But, the fact that you could get every member answered within 24 hours in your voice without you leaving your notifications is pretty nice. And you can also offer these premium builds where we build a trading bot with co-invest and then help them build out their strategy. You can always build a longevity coach. And this is always for people that have always a little bit more money because your energy is in the proof. If, hey, you can set this up and have the accountability coach to make sure you're taking your vitamins, going to the gym. People love that on its own. And finally, it's Jarvis and Agent Club. This is just for people that want something really cool and performative just to show people. But, it's a demo that really closes the call. If you can build it, you can take it from Cloud Club and show people. I'm sure they'd be wowed. And remember, when you come to these conversations, make sure you price the outcome and not any hours. And remember to always build first. That's why I'll always encourage that. And anchor to the human alternative if they were actually just paying people on their own and how much more scale and volume you can get, right? Remember, always a setup plus a retainer is the way to go. Setup fee basically frees your time, and the retainer you can keep on and then stacking over and over. And one of the most important things is always have a risk reverser. Make sure it's not on the client to actually keep working with you, especially if it's your first one, right? Make it your own. You should build these things. If you're trying to sell a content engine or an Octopus, use it for yourself. Make sure it works first. And then you can reach out and then send people free stuff. And remember, this is just the start of it. There's a lot of coaching and things you need for this. And if you ever get stuck building or trying to set up any of these, I will always be inside Cloud Club in the link below to help you out, right? But hopefully this tutorial and this whole training helped you out. There's a lot of ideas that I've personally taken and used and really helps me every day. So with that, I'll leave you to it. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in Cloud Club. Thanks for the support.